to put in words here, but it's a real pleasure to have you all here, to be with us in this whole day. I hope you enjoy the sessions. In your bags, you have the whole program, okay? So two important things. You have on the back 2 QR codes. We're going to use them, okay? So open it, get your program. Just for you to know what you're going to start, okay? Later, we are going to use the QR code. We're going to give you some instructions. This moment was just for you to know that this paper exists in your bag, okay? And here, I'm going to pass the microphone to open the event to our Executive Director, Lucia Santos.
Thank you, Dudu. And thank you, Robson, for inviting me to open the event here. So welcome to all of you. Welcome to Brasilia, because I heard many of you are from different places, cities, states. And welcome to people who live in Brasilia too. So let me see how many of you live in Brasilia. Wow. Yeah, we have many. And the others are from other spaces, right? And I heard there are so many different spaces, so I'm not going to each of one of them. So, good morning, people. As always, I mixed up. I put my little paper here. Sorry, people. So, people, for the past few days, I've been thinking about how to begin this talk. I even talked to Robson. Robson, what do you want me to say? And then he said, say. And then I thought, okay, I can talk about innovation. No. Artificial intelligence. About skills our future as teachers or as educators demands. Good. About the transformation we are all experiencing because we have new kind of students, right? They are different. Okay. And I said, yes, this is our daily thing we have to deal with. And about how challenging it is to be a teacher today. Is it hard to be a teacher today? Yes. But my thoughts took me to somewhere else, to another place. They took me back to my very first classroom at Casa Thomas Jefferson. When I walked into the classroom for the first time at the Casa Thomas Jefferson in 1982, I was a teacher here. I thought I was simply to teach English, but I soon discovered was that the greatest lesson was something entirely different. If you were a teacher, you were not simply a teacher. Anyone who chooses to educate never stops learning. And we know we do so many different things, right? I remember that once I thought, my goodness, I have to be a psychologist and I know nothing about psychology. But you have to deal with parents, you have to deal with students, and nowadays I think it's even hard to deal with different types of students. So, now more than 4 decades later, I realized that my students have been my greatest good. My greatest teachers. They taught me a lot. And at that time, I didn't know that they would teach me how to be a better teacher. So they taught me that learning begins with curiosity, that trust comes before knowledge, that love, dedication, and genuine care must be always present every single day. And that they are often just as important as well-prepared lesson. So you need to care about each one of your students because they are all different. They taught me that every student learns at their own pace and that no two classes are ever the same because no students are the same. So over the years, my career, you see, 44 years, you need to have other directions, right? Over the years, my career took me in new directions, new challenges, and new responsibilities too. And today, I have the privilege of leading an institution that I deeply love and respect. So if you work in a place for 44 years, of course you have to love and respect it, right? Otherwise you would quit and go do something else. So, but one part of me has never changed because I started here as a teacher. And the teacher I was is still here in my heart. I love teaching. Although I haven't been teaching, I love teaching. So, and perhaps that's why events like the TB Academy Day mean so much to me. They remind me that before any methodology, any technology, or any educational tool, there is something that remains at the very heart of education: human connection. So no technology will substitute human connection. We live in a time when artificial intelligence can answer questions in seconds, but no technology can replace the caring eye of a teacher who notices when a student needs encouragement. When you notice that students need your help. No platform can replace the joy of watching someone discover what they are capable of. No algorithm can replace the trust that builds inside the classroom. That's why I continue to believe so deeply in our profession, because education has never been simply about transferring knowledge. It's much more than this. It is about awakening possibilities. It's about opening doors that students may never have imagined existed. It's about recognizing and nurturing the very best in each learner you have. So each student needs you in a different way. And that's exactly why we must continue learning ourselves. Not because everything we've done is no longer relevant, no. But because our students of today are different from students of yesterday. And they invite us every single day to become better than we were yesterday. So our students invite us to learn. Our students invited to change. I hope that throughout this TB Academy Day, every conversation, every presentation, and every connection reminds us why we chose this profession. It's hard to be a teacher. It is. But it's very rewarding. I hope you leave today with new ideas, but above all, I hope you leave with renewed hearts. Because those who keep learning, keep inspiring, and those who inspire change lives. My students never stopped being part of me, of my life. They remain in my heart. And I believe that's what keeps us educators, regardless of the position we hold. And you see, this is here with us, and it's going to be forever. Once a teacher, always a teacher. So thank you for being here today, for believing in the power of education, and for being part of this community, a community that learns, teaches, and inspires every single day. I wish you a wonderful event, and I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful event, and thank you for being here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia, for those kind words, and that's the message. Yes, we need to have a heart. That's the main thing. The teacher must have a heart. So I'm going to introduce here our first speaker in the open plenary. Clarice Bezerra holds a degree in anthropology and a degree in English literature. She has been an English teacher for over 25 years and a teacher trainer specializing in innovation and technology applied to education at Casa Thomas Jefferson, where she currently holds the leadership position of Corporate Academic Manager. She is also a certified biographical counselor. So, welcome, Clarice Bezerra.
Thank you, Dudu. Good morning. How many of you are teachers? Classroom teachers, raise your hand. Okay, wonderful. Anybody here, coordinators, directors? Let me see your hands. Yes? Okay, all right. So I'm speaking to an audience of teachers mostly, right? Wonderful, okay. Well, I'm going to talk to you today. I'm not really going to talk to you about the particulars of teaching a foreign language, but I am going to be talking about a very important dimension of teaching as a profession, of connecting to others. And for me to reach my goal today, I'm going to need you all to help me with something. I'm going to need you all to invite your whole bodies to be present at this moment. So I'm going to invite you to stand up, put your things on the chair right there, anywhere. Yes, stand up. This will be very brief. And here's what you will need to do. Nothing in your hands, okay? Just sort of shake your arms a little bit next to your body. Yeah, good. Okay. Now here's what we're going to do. And we're going to do this right, okay? You are going to put these two fingers together in both hands, flex your arm, body, both hands, okay? And I am going to count to 8. And we are going to take the breath in. As we raise our hands, and then breath out. And we are going to do that twice. Remember, 8 seconds to breathe in, okay? I'm going to count with you very gently, and you're going to do it with both hands. All right? Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And breathe out. Yes. We're going to do it once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and relax. Wonderful. Now take a seat. And with your inner eye, I want you to scan through your body right now. Scan through your body right now. How are you feeling? I invite any tension in your body to relax. Try to breathe there, okay? Yes, good. Now, as teachers, we work with a lot of cognitive load, don't we? Yes? It's all about the brain, yeah? But the brain is body. Cérebro é corpo também. Right? And we forget that. And we live nowadays in a society where there is a separation between head and body. This is cultural, okay? So during my presentation, I am going to invite you to engage. This is not just going to be a lecture. This is going to be quite engaging. So I'm going to be asking you to do some things. And you're going to need to take some notes throughout. So if you have a little notepad, okay? If you have pen and paper, it's best because of the cognitive engagement. So refrain from using the cell phone, okay? So if you have pen and paper, go for it, please. Wonderful. Yes, in the little bags. Yes, you have some. I was just informed you have a little notepad. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. This is no notepad. This is beautiful. Why don't you use it? Okay, this is great. So you can come back to it later on when you need some inspiration, okay? My invitation to you right now, and you're going to do that individually for now. Individually, okay? This is the title of my lecture today, From Discipline to Safety. I'm going to talk about the implications of polyvagal theory for teachers. Okay? You see, there are 3 words on the screen. Here's what I want you to do on your notebook. You need to come up with a sentence connecting the 3 words you see right there: safety, connection, and learning. Think about your job as a teacher. Think about your work every day. Write down a sentence connecting the 3 words. You have 1 minute. Go ahead. Safety, connection, and learning. When you have your sentence, I want you to give me a thumbs up so I know how many of you are done. Thank you. Okay. Just a few more seconds. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just see what comes up, okay? I want you to hold on to your sentence because we are going to come back to it at the end of the lecture. Is that all right? Yes? Okay. So did you finish your sentence? Give me a thumbs up if you're done. Are you done? Okay. More people now. All right. Now, I want a show of hands for how many of you have ever heard of the polyvagal theory. Anybody? 1 person. Okay. All right, that's lovely. This is brand new stuff. I mean, it's not new. The research by Dr. Stephen Porges dates back to the 90s, okay? So this guy is the one who's bringing forth all of the research on polyvagal theory. We have a Brazilian institute which is, has partnered up with the American Institute. It's the Instituto Polivagal. You can find information about it, about many educational initiatives there. It is absolutely relevant for educators, so much. Not only educators, but all the other walks of life. But for educators, it's very, very critical, and this is what I hope to achieve and share with you today, okay? Now, for the sake of priming your knowledge, because this is brand new to you, okay? We are going to watch a video. Now, this video will be 9 minutes long. Bear with me. It's quite engaging. It's not going to drag, I promise you. But we are going to prepare to watch the video, okay? On your notebooks, and as you watch the video, you will need to take notes on the 3 prompts you see on the screen. So as you watch and something comes up, you are going to write down one thing that you already knew about what you were watching, okay? One thing that surprised you. Whoa, this is brand new. I'm surprised by this. And number 3 there, something that you feel will be very helpful in your life as an educator, as a teacher, and as a person in your life. Okay? Do you understand the task? Thumbs up? Show me a thumbs up. Okay, so everybody is with me. So now we are going to watch this video and you are going to take your notes, okay? After we finish watching the video, I am going to show you the 3 prompts once again, and you will have a minute or 2 to share what you wrote down with the person sitting next to you, okay? So this will be after the video. So make sure you have some notes to share, all right? Okay, so here we go. Uh-oh. A lecturer's nightmare. Maybe it's the internet connection? Let me check. That's funny. Hold on, guys. We did. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, I'm going to do that. Let me just give it one more try. Okay. YouTube first. I'm going to give this a try. Oopsie. I'm going to give it a try. Okay, let's see. Is my internet on? Yes. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Brasileiro, yes. This is the video I want to show you. Let's see if it'll work. Where's the sound? Let me see if the sound's going to come through. No, there's music playing. That's why. Hold on, guys. Okay, I closed the whole thing. I don't know what happened. Yes. Yes, but then the presentation closed. It's this one. This is the video. No, let's close this. Sorry, guys. Do that again. Do that thing you did. Do it again. It's here. Here. Okay, open that up, and then we're going to go back to the slides. I'm going to need your help, okay? All right. Okay, we're back on track. Are you with me? Yes? Okay, so here we go, guys. Let me see if we have English, subtitles in English. Yes, here we go.
Over half of us have a chronic disorder such as high blood pressure or autoimmune disease. Rates of anxiety, depression, PTSD, and addiction are skyrocketing. Why? The roots of these issues and more can often be traced to trauma, adverse childhood experiences, chronic stress, and ultimately, nervous system dysregulation. Meet your autonomic nervous system. Let's call it ANS. ANS takes care of a lot of your automatic functions, like your heartbeat, digestion, and body temperature. ANS also manages your survival and stress response, working to keep you alive when your life is in danger. ANS functions as our built-in detection system, constantly scanning our environment for cues of safety and cues of danger. As ANS scans the environment, it has 3 general responses or states. Safe. You feel calm, relaxed, and connected to those around you. Mobilized. When ANS detects danger, it sends a command and your heart rate and breathing increase, adrenaline and cortisol are released, and blood rushes to your muscles so you can handle the threat. This is our fight-flight response. Immobilized. When ANS detects that the danger is so great that you can't fight or run, it shuts you down. In this state, our heart rate, blood pressure, and body temperature decrease, and pain-numbing endorphins are released. ANS does all of this automatically without us thinking about it. ANS doesn't just use these states for survival, it uses them to navigate through the world each day. When ANS functions well, it moves fluidly from one state to another, 1 minute mobilized and ready for action, and the next resting and recovering. ANS will often blend states together. When we play, ANS combines the mobilized and safe states, and when we are intimate with loved ones, it combines immobilized and safe states. When ANS can stay flexible and fluid like this, it helps us manage and become resilient to stress and negative events. We're able to bounce back and move on. Unfortunately, when we experience trauma and chronic stress, it can keep ANS from functioning in a healthy, regulated, and resilient way, and can keep us stuck in states of survival. A friendly get-together can become frightening. A simple meeting at work can become threatening. For those with a history of trauma and chronic stress, the ANS detection system often becomes faulty, constantly signaling danger even when we are safe. It's like ANS is an alarm system, constantly signaling fire even when there's no smoke and no flames. Consistently living in these survival states can be debilitating, and we often develop adaptive strategies like using drugs, alcohol, food, work, or sex in an attempt to bring regulation and temporary relief. Understanding how trauma impacts us is critically important. There is a whole spectrum of experiences that can be traumatizing and adversely impact ANS, like accidents, assaults, and natural disasters, which are often called shock traumas. There is also developmental or relational trauma, when we experience chronic adversity, abuse, neglect, and lack of safety while growing up. Many other experiences can be traumatizing, including chronic stress, medical procedures, and adverse community environments like poverty, discrimination, and violence. Additionally, new research in epigenetics shows us that trauma can get passed down genetically at least 3 generations. In the past, we've thought about trauma as events that happen to us. We now know that trauma is an experience, not an event. It's what happens inside of us as a result of what happens to us. It's our response to the event rather than the event itself. Over 20 years ago, Kaiser and the CDC launched a groundbreaking study of over 17,000 patients that showed a direct link between adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, and long-term health and wellness. In the study, 2/3 of participants reported at least one ACE. Over 20% reported 3 or more. When participants reported 4 or more ACEs, this corresponded to an increased chance for heart disease, cancer, drug abuse, and more. With 6 or more ACEs, life expectancy decreases by almost 20 years. We are learning that many physical and emotional symptoms may emerge from a chronically dysregulated ANS. When ants get stuck in survival states, our biology shifts its focus from the tasks that keep us healthy, happy, and thriving to surviving the immediate perceived threat. Many conditions and symptoms that are chronic and difficult to diagnose and treat can be attributed to a dysfunctional ANS. Our childhood experiences can also keep us from connecting with others. This is vitally important because as children, our number one survival priority is to attach to caregivers. When the people responsible for our safety aren't safe, and we are living in chronic states of unsafety, ANS doesn't get wired right. The part of ANS that judges what is safe and what is not becomes faulty. If intimacy and connection were unsafe as a child, as adults, we'll often unconsciously reject attempts from friends and partners to connect. Even though intimacy and connection is what we want, ANS feels it's unsafe and won't allow it. Trauma compromises our ability to engage with others, replacing the need for connection with the need for protection.
Hey, Nina, coffee break. Did you catch the game last night?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had a crazy part.
When there has been trauma, ANS can no longer differentiate between our unsafe past and our now safe present. ANS can't turn off the need to protect, even though we are now safe. So what can we do when ANS becomes dysregulated? How do we recover from trauma and develop a healthy, regulated, resilient nervous system? Fortunately, we can retrain ANS to feel safe again. This is best done with the help of others. Each one of us has an ANS, and our ANS is constantly communicating with and attuning to the states of others. We autonomically mirror the states of those around us. This is called co-regulating. We see it in herd behavior. If one animal senses danger, the entire group becomes more alert, increasing their chances of survival. We're exactly the same. When we're with others who are stressed, angry, or depressed, it makes us feel worse. When we're with others who are calm and happy, it makes us feel better. Connecting with others who are safe, attuned, and present is the best way to restore a healthy ANS. For those struggling to recover from the impacts of trauma, there is an emerging field of innovative clinical therapies that have been developed to reestablish safety and regulation to ANS. We're also learning that many of the activities we intuitively know make us feel better, like spending time in nature, practicing yoga, dancing, helping others, and more, can help ANS become more regulated and resilient. Healing from trauma and finding release from being stuck living in survival states comes as ANS becomes regulated, increases its capacity for resilience, and regains its flexibility. It's not about being calm all the time or mobilized all the time. It's about having a flexible and resilient nervous system that can accurately assess safety and danger and responds appropriately. We're truly resilient when we can fluidly move from one state to another. For those living with the impacts of trauma and chronic stress, becoming unstuck is like beginning a new life. For the rest of us, understanding how our nervous system states guide our behavior can help us become happier, healthier, and more empathetic human beings. Collectively, we have an epidemic of social issues that are rooted in trauma. If we can do the work to heal past traumas and build healthy, regulated nervous systems as individuals, families, and communities, we can end the cycles that continue to reinforce our greatest challenges and create a safer, vibrant, and more connected world.
So now take a moment. You have your notes. I'll give you a minute. Turn to the person sitting next to you and exchange a little bit about what you felt, what you wrote. Go ahead, 1 minute. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you are reaching the end of your exchange. Yes? All right. Well, look how stimulating it was. Yes? It really made you think. I see from the sheer amount of interaction, you were very engaged. Yes? Because we are so many, what I'm going to do now is I am going to share one thing that surprised me. And I just want you to sort of think about against what you wrote down. But to me, when I began studying polyvagal theory and I came in touch with the concept of what a trauma is, that was surprising to me. Because we keep thinking that trauma is the event itself. This was a big shift in my perspective. Trauma is not the event itself. It's how you feel. And not only that, it's how you keep feeling about it, the impact it has on your life. And the different types of trauma. And of course, there's the obvious type, the shock trauma, war, earthquakes, natural disasters, assaults, violence, right? But then there's developmental trauma. There's relational trauma. This is directly related to what we do for a living as teachers, guys, right? And for ourselves as persons, we have been children, we have had our families, right? And our challenges as well, as people, okay? So just to share a little bit about something that surprised me, okay? And then later, we are gonna have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about what you wrote down, okay? Now, let me move on here. Now, the term polyvagal theory comes from this term. Behold the vagus nerve. This is part of your body, a very important part of your body, and it's the center of Stephen Porges' theory and research. So what the vagus nerve does as a conduit for bidirectional communication between brain and the rest of our bodies is central to support critical autonomic functions such as heart rate, digestion, our immune response, and inflammation modulation. Okay? So this is where the term polyvagal comes from. What you see in red is the vagus nerve. It goes all the way down to our intestines, from our brain through our heart to our intestines. So it's all over us. It's so important, okay? Now, let's talk about what we do as teachers. What we need to think about, guys, through the polyvagal lens, let's call it that way, we're going to put on a polyvagal pair of glasses, okay, for teachers. What this means is the student who is the problem student, the one that always misbehaves, the bad student. Through the polyvagal lens, what do we have here? We have an invitation to do a different type of reading. Behavior is a nervous system response to context. If I don't feel safe, I will have responses of protection and survival, okay? So our invitation to you through the polyvagal lens is, before asking, why did my student do that? Why does that student do that all the time? He gets on my nerves, it's so hard. What state are they in right now? Just be curious about what's going on in terms of a survival response in that person's autonomic nervous system. Remember, it's involuntary. It's working all the time to protect us. It's working right now for you to feel protected, okay? So this is on all the time. Now, this is important. It doesn't mean that limits and responsibility for our behaviors are going to go out the window. No. What it means is that we can become better prepared to read situations of that sort. And that's my proposition to you teachers today, that we become better readers of responses. And then maybe we can have a larger toolkit of strategies and know how to best deal with them, okay? So, what are the 3 states that come up at school? You saw them on the video, okay? So we talked about safety, we talked about mobilization, and we talked about collapse. You saw that on the video, right? So let's talk about them, and what do they look like? Safety. Safety. So when we feel safe, we make eye contact. We use an expressive voice, right? We are curious. We are actively listening, yeah? We are cooperating. All of this shows our degree of readiness to learn. So, do we need to feel safe to learn? We do. We do. But maybe a student came from home and something happened, or something has been happening in his life or her life, and he's not feeling safe in your room with you any particular day. And hey, it's not personal to you. It's got nothing to do with you. Okay? It's his autonomic system working to protect him or her. All right? So let's think now, fight or flight. This is the mobilization, yes? It's not always bad. I mean, I'm mobilized right now. I'm doing something very pleasant that I like. I'm talking to teachers. I'm a little nervous, yeah? I can feel a little bit of butterflies in my stomach right now, looking at you. You're all looking at me. You're all very intelligent people, yeah? So I'm mobilized, but I'm safe at the same time. So there's a mixture of being mobilized and safe. What does that look like in our students? If they're in fight, flight, maybe towards a more negative, without the safety part, it could be an agitation, opposition, challenging you, right? Impulsivity, attempts to escape the task and the environment. So overall, it'll be agitation. Agitation. This is survival mode as well, okay? Now, what is shutdown? What does it look like? And I know you're thinking about students you've seen, huh? In your career. Do that, okay? As we do this, think about the students that you have shut down. When you see a student who's silent, who's apathetic, blanking out, slowness, sleepiness, freezing, right? Or an apparent lack of response. It's also a survival strategy, okay? So they come up in our classrooms, do they not? Do they not? They do, right? All of these 3 states. Now, this is important. We've been talking about safety, so we need to be safe. But safety is not just everything is fine, there's no threat in the environment, we know that there's not going to be a lion coming in here, and, right? I mean, okay? Now, even though the environment may be objectively safe, a student, a person, may still not feel safe in that environment. Because we are talking about the nervous system perspective, the polyvagal lens, okay? So, safety is a bodily experience. Remember what trauma is, right? It's not the event itself, it's how I feel the event, right? So safety is not the objective environment, although it is necessary. It's a prerequisite for safety, of course, okay? But it's also a bodily experience, all right? So, what can we do? What can we do? What are the aspects of what we do that impact the safety experience in a person. And now I'm talking about all relationships we have with people, not only in the classroom. Your voice in your presence, your tone of voice, it can be soothing or it can be triggering. The way you speak, research has shown that if you speak with your head like this, without changing the tone of your voice, you make everybody nervous. People feel unsafe. But if I talk to you like this, and I move my head a little, and I make eye contact, yes? Don't you feel safer now? Okay. So voice and presence, watch for them. They are work tools, right? For teachers. This is so important. And you know what I love? Most of you are going to say, I already do this in my classroom. Great. Yeah? We're naming the names here today so that you strengthen them, okay, in your practice. Predictability. Having clear and predictable routines and transitions from one activity to the next. You will reduce the emotional cost of being at school, okay? Belonging. I mean, we have that need, all of us, right? We're human. We need to belong. We need to feel a part of the group. It increases readiness to learn, okay? And to learn, you need to be able and open to take cognitive risks, okay? Now, public exposure, this is an important one. Be careful. Corrections and reprimands made in front of everyone can turn a learning moment in a social threat, a living nightmare. Okay? We have to watch for that, guys. Okay? So again, safety is not just the absence of threat. All right? Now, let me introduce to you a very important and central concept in polyvagal theory, which is neuroception. It's something we are doing right now, all of us. We are all doing it right now. I'm doing it, you're doing it. You don't know you are what you are. It's your autonomic nervous system protecting you all the time, okay? How does it work? This is not conscious, remember. Any conscious thought is happening, nothing is happening here, okay? It is already evaluating and scanning the environment for threats and for safety. So our system takes environmental cues, it neurocepts, and it informs your bodily state. So you have different symptoms. Maybe when you're unsafe, you notice your heartbeats go faster. You start sweating a little bit. Okay? So neuroception is always on. And understanding it helps us see why certain environmental changes may be so critical. So the environment where you teach, the schools you teach, your classrooms, they are all autonomic system adaptation resources. They can be resources for the better, for safety, or for triggering. Okay? Yeah? So it's important for you to be familiar with the concept of neuroception. Okay? Now, we've been hearing a lot about this word lately, co-regulation. Let's co-regulate. Oh, you need to be able to self-regulate. Oh, come on, right? And particularly into the neurodiversity discussion, right? Students and teachers and people who are neurodiverse, right? So you need to learn how to regulate. Oh, he doesn't know how to self-regulate. Well, guess what? We are constantly learning how to self-regulate. And guess what? We need each other to be able to self-regulate. Children and teenagers don't know how to self-regulate alone. They rely on us, adults, to learn how to self-regulate. So you, teacher, are a major resource for your students and for your students' parents and to each other. Okay? You're also resources to each other. So co-regulation means that I lend you my calm so that you can learn how to find your own calm. I'm the mother of a 15-year-old girl. When she goes triggered and she starts screaming because she is so insecure about her performance at school, a bad grade, she cries, she loses it. What do? I take it down a notch. Okay, you're safe now. Talk to me. I speak very softly. I become a resource, a calm resource for her. It works every time. Sometimes it takes longer, but it works every time. She's learning from me as well how to self-regulate, okay? So what do we do then in co-regulation? How do we stand as adults, okay? Have a firm presence without intimidation, a steady posture, a neutral tone, communicate safety without creating tension. I was just talking about moving the head, speaking softly, yes? Gentle eyes. Sometimes when we become mobilized, we show, right? So we need to become aware of ourselves, how we hold our bodies, yeah? Brief listening before correction. O benefício da dúvida. Okay, so a brief moment of acknowledgement before intervention reduces defensiveness and opens a channel for dialogue. So when I listen to my 15-year-old going crazy at me because of her bad grade, I give her a moment. After she pauses, there's a moment of silence and acknowledgement. She breathes. And then you go on and you talk and you co-regulate. Speech rhythm that organizes. Speaking slowly and clearly helps the student's nervous system reorganize. Okay? Well, we interpret many behaviors as misconduct. We mentioned this a little bit earlier. What polyvagal theory does, again, is not that it removes responsibility, okay? What we want is to improve our ability to read the need behind the behavior. So let's look at the three here. Mobilization, when you have those behaviors right there, what does that show? There's an excess energy seeking an outlet, right? It's the fight or flight. What's behind it? Let's learn how to read it, okay? Immobilization, going silent, freezing, blinking out. It's a defensive collapse. It's a shutdown to survive. Engagement, when the person's asking questions, is regulated, is playful, cooperating. It's a sign of safety. The person is available to learn and to connect. So it's important for us to begin having this sensory awareness and vocabulary, visual vocabulary for the different types of behavior that our students engage in, okay? Trauma and chronic stress change the starting point. We do have people who already come at a lower threshold, right? People who have past trauma. So we need to be aware that it's a more sensitive area. So small signals may be interpreted as threat. So if you give a child a more intense look, this is a child who's already traumatized somehow, okay? So it'll trigger the child, okay? So watch for that, okay? Social connection as risk. Sometimes when you come too close, or even when you touch a child, it may be felt as something threatening. So you gotta know a little bit about the history of each child. That's also why it's so important for teachers to have a close connection with families and with their admins, right? Because admins know also who the families are, okay? Response before language. Defense may appear in the body before the student even knows how to name it. And most of them will not know how to name it or recognize it. So emotional vocabulary, we teach them. you must be feeling very frustrated because I see that you're acting in such and such ways. Does that make sense to you, right? So giving them this emotional literacy is also important, okay? Now let me say this up front, guys. Teachers do not diagnose trauma. You are not psychologists, unless some of you are, because some people are psychologists and teachers, okay? You are not. But teachers do something critical. You organize repeated conditions of safety. And that is already a very powerful intervention, okay? So teachers don't go about distributing diagnoses. TDAH, esse aí é autista. Ah, mãe, vai lá ver se tem autismo. Não pode. Não pode. Right? But still, we have a lot of power, guys, to intervene in our students' lives, okay? All right, this one is glitching a bit. Let me come back here, okay? All right. What can you do tomorrow? What can you do tomorrow? Let's have a look. I'm going to share with you these set of 5 practices, okay? So bear with me. Let's go over them together, all right? So relevant practices for you to use. We talked about this before. Start with predictability, okay? Have a short agenda. Some teachers like to even write it on the board. The students know what's going to happen in the beginning. The teacher is going to come in, give a big smile, say, good morning, everybody. How are you feeling today? Come to the board and start with a short agenda, okay? So short agenda, clear objective, announce transitions. The nervous system relaxes when it knows what to expect. Use a regulating voice, a calm tone, varied prosody, less rushing. The voice is an instrument of co-regulation, okay? Use your voice, all right? Correct or give feedback with dignity. Make the intervention brief and private whenever possible. Do not expose the student, okay? Avoid public exposure that activates defense. You know what the toughest emotion is for any human being to process and overcome? Do you want to take a guess? Shame. Psychologists say that the toughest emotion to overcome and the most damaging emotion to a human being is shame. Okay? Remember that, all right? Offer organized exits, breaks, limited choices, a structured restart. Give the student an honorable way out. And finally, reconnect after conflict. Repair agreements. Return to the group. The relationship needs to be restored. It's not about the person being a villain. It's the behavior you are addressing. It's never the person. Okay? Okay, so in the heat of the moment, what do we do? Oh my God, what do we do? Okay, Clarissa, this is all beautiful. This is all nice. What do we do, guys? First thing we do, you lower the intensity. Okay? Less audience, less talking, less power struggle. You reduce the stimuli in the environment. Okay? This is what you do first. So when my child, my teenager begins screaming, I go low. I put my arm around and say, let's take a seat. Okay? Then our cat is sitting nearby. She's very soft belly. She goes like this. You feel her belly. It's a resource. Okay? Lower the intensity. Name the next step. Me to my 15-year-old. I know you're nervous about this bad grade, but we have already contacted Rogério, da professor particular de matemática. Ele está vindo quinta-feira, lembra? Ótimo, ótimo. Name the next step, okay? And number 3, repair and reintegrate. After the crisis, agree on the return without humiliation. Reconnection closes the cycle. Okay? So we need to be the adult that is going to be there for them. Okay? Limits remain. What changes is the form. Less threat, more structure, more organization. My teenager knows that if she keeps getting bad grades, there will be consequences. She knows. Okay? But I go about it in an organized manner, in a less threatening manner. Okay? All right, so let's look at this little matrix here. Let's practice a little bit. All right, so this is your classroom matrix, okay, for you to address. So something has happened. There's an observed signal of agitation, of opposition, of impulsivity. Think of your students right now, yeah? Okay? What possible state is behind that type? Mobilization, right? Mobilization, and a negative one, yeah? Without safety. What do you need to do? Lower intensity, okay? What does that look like? A lower voice, a short, clear task, all right? What if there's immobilization through silence, through absence? What do you need? If a person is collapsed, you do not go, don't, okay? This person needs a safe reapproach. Is it okay if I put my hand on your shoulder now? Yes? You feeling better? Okay? Safe reapproach. Give the person time, discreet, gentle invitation to connect with you first, okay? Participation, curiosity, cooperation, engagement, right? So this is safety with mobilization, right? This person is safe and mobilized in a positive way, yeah? Maintain connection. You want to maintain it, okay? Be specific with positive feedback. It's not, muito bem, você foi muito bem hoje. No, I really liked the way you worked together with her today because you talked about everything we discussed. I loved your examples. By the way, can you share that example with the rest of the class? Aren't you being specific? Yes? Okay? What to avoid? Nunca fiz isso na professora. Nem demais. It's a no-no, guys. Yelling to get silence. It's a no-no, okay? It'll raise collective alertness. Do you remember the herd? When one animal feels the threat, everybody else goes, right? Correcting with irony or public exposure. This causes and leverages shame. Don't. This is serious stuff. Okay? Interpreting freezing as defiance. You call on the student goes silent, doesn't answer. You feel you're being disrespected. Take a step back and be curious. Put the polyvagal lens. Maybe something else, okay? Don't. Be careful. Demanding rational reflection in peak emotion. Me coming to my 15-year-old, eu vou repetir de ano, eu quero me matar. It's that level, guys. Júlia, calma, pensa direito, calma. Not gonna work. Not gonna work, okay? Prefrontal access is limited when the defensive system is activated, and they're still developing the prefrontal cortex. Teenagers particularly, it's very tough on them, okay? Reducing everything to lack of will. Ah, se ele quisesse mesmo, ele aprendia. It ignores the role of the nervous system and blocks the path to effective interventions. Okay? Now, here's where we come to our end today. I'd like you now to revisit the sentence you wrote in the beginning and maybe the notes you took on the video, and I want you to consider that question right there. How can my presence communicate enough safety for the student to return to learning? This is the question every teacher needs to be doing themselves every single morning or afternoon that they're going to go in the classroom, that they're going to go have a meeting with parents, that they're going to go have a meeting with their bosses, that they're going to go talk to each other in the teacher's room, right? How can I be a resource to this person right now? Yeah? So this is the question you're going to take with you today. And hopefully your answers will somehow touch these three things here that I would like to leave you with today. Relational safety, okay? It does not replace content limits or rigor, but it creates the conditions for all of your students to learn and work better. So create relational safety, okay? Practical application, some practical applications we discussed today. So small changes in voice, in posture, predictability. They're already neurologically relevant interventions. They're very powerful, very simple too, okay? And last but not least, one step at a time, okay? Transformation comes, at its own pace. The moment you become aware and you bring it to your class tomorrow. So my invitation to you is, I want you to think of that question and you're going to choose one thing that you're going to implement next week when you go back to the classroom. How's that? Okay? And I will want to hear from you. Okay, Dudu? I will want to hear from them. And by the way, I am going to be sharing the PDF with you all. I'm going to transform this presentation into a PDF file. I'm going to send it to Dudu, and he's going to see that you all get it. Okay? This is a little treat for you. And this is an excellent resource for you to have a look and become better acquainted with how your vagus nerve works. You're going to love it. It's a great resource. Okay? I hope everybody got it by now. I'm thinking this is my last slide. So guys, I hope this was relevant. I love talking to teachers. Thank you so much for being here, okay? And let us all have a wonderful second semester, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clarice. Amazing as always. People, now we're going to have a short coffee break, and then we're going to come back here to the round table with three special guests. So make sure you have, doing your enrollment, you have a bag, because you're going to need the QR codes for the next session. Now, 30 minutes. People, after 30 minutes, you're going to start collecting. You said, come on, let's go back, because we need to continue on. But there is a coffee break for you now, okay? See you back. So, people, we are going to have a very special moment here now. We had guests. Okay, I forgot. I need to open. But before I introduce our guests, a reminder. Your enrollment, because your certificate is going to be sent to you after you do your enrollment. Don't forget that. And now, get the program, because that's going to be part of our round table. And you see that there are two QR codes in the back of it. Okay, so I'm going to just explain what they're going to work for. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have the first round of concurrent sessions. There is the room and the title of it in the program, but then you need to enroll. That's one of the QR codes there, so you need to enroll. They're not working? We have tried, they worked. Yeah. Worked? Are you on a Wi-Fi? I don't know, because some people worked, some people didn't work. Worked? Probably some restriction in your phone that's blocking it. Yeah. So, and then the first QR code, the one in blue, okay? We are going to have 3 guests around table, but there is a moment for you to ask questions. So, throughout the round table, you can type your questions using the QR code here, the blue one. So, when you open the blue one, there's going to be a document for you to ask questions to our participants, okay? Because then Raquel is going to ask the questions. Good? So, no further ado. I'm going to check with them, and then while you do, you open it. Okay, people, this round table can be done because of our sponsors. We had Libby and National Geographic here that helped us deliver this event. Okay, so introducing Jair Felix. Jair Felix is a global academic service manager at National Geographic Learning. Holds a BA in Teaching English as a Foreign Language from University Autónoma of da Sinaloa in Mexico. A postgrad degree in Professional Development from College St. Mark and St. John in the UK, and a diploma in Teaching for a Specific Purpose, DEEP, TESP, from British Council. He also earned a tutorial certificate from British Council, underscoring his commitment to digital learning. Jair has been involved in language teaching and teacher training for over 30 years and has conducted workshops in various topics such as lesson planning, discourse analysis for language teachers, action research, education technologies, 21st century skills, among others. His work is widely regarded as a benchmark of professionalism and innovation in the field of English teaching. So please welcome Jair Felix. Now I'm going to introduce Carol Calil. Carol Calil is an educator, researcher, and author with over 25 years of experience in English language teaching, a former substitute teacher at Universidade de Brasília, and a teacher at Casa Thomas Jefferson. She holds an MBA in School Management from USP, a Master's in Applied Linguistics from UNB, and degrees in Pedagogy and Language Arts, English and Portuguese. Currently, a doctoral student in linguistics. Her work focuses on bilingual curricula and the development of educational materials designed to foster ethical, responsible, and creative learning. Welcome, Carol Calil. Now I'm going to introduce Rafael Lamonato. Rafael Lamonato is graduated in Portuguese and English language and literature from Federal Universidade do Rio Grande do Sul, holding a postgrad degree in global education and multilingualism. That's a difficult word, multilingualism, from Católica of Paraná, and a master's degree in language studies from Federal Universidade do Rio Grande do Sul. Rafael has more than 10 years experience in teaching and teacher training across different subjects, areas, and educational levels. He currently works full-time in the management of educational projects focused on internationalization, seeking to consolidate internationalization as cross-curricular element throughout all units of Marista Brasil. Welcome, Rafael Lamonato. And least, but not less important, our host of the roundtable, our pedagogical consultant, Raquel Marques.
Thank you, Dudu. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you all for being here on a Saturday. And let's talk teaching and students, please, guys. I was called for my large bottle of water, so I'm going to remove it from the site. All right. So before we begin, please, I would like to, we would all like to hear a little bit from you guys. So please introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about your work, your years of experience. Okay, really fast. So let's begin. Jay, please.
Hello, everyone. As you heard before, my name is Jair. Don't get misleaded by it. It's yeah. As I'm not a local, sadly. When I was born in the mid '70s, and back then my dad was a huge soccer fan. So he had this wild idea of naming me after a Brazilian soccer player, Jairzinho. But that's my only link to the Portuguese language. So yeah, whenever I'm in Brazil, and I've been coming to Brazil very often for the last 15 years, whenever I'm here and people know my name, they immediately assume I'm a local. They start talking to me in Portuguese, and I'm like, good, yes. No.
Welcome.
I was born in Mexico. Spanish is my native tongue. I learned English as my family migrated to Northern California when I was only 4. So I had the opportunity to go to school and study and develop further, both academically and personally, in the Bay Area, around the city of San Francisco in the US. It was very clear to me when I was a high school student that what I wanted to do in life had to do with language teaching and cultural teaching. And so I decided to go to college and get a degree in English language teaching, and then I had the opportunity to get a master's on professional development in language teaching, which at the end brought me to what is now National Geographic Learning, which is the company that I've worked for over the last 22 years. In my current role as a global manager for academic services for National Geographic Learning, I have the amazing opportunity to travel the world, visiting schools, talking to teachers, analyzing curricula, and then devising and designing professional development programs to empower teachers and help them use the content that we produce at National Geographic in order to favor not only English language teaching, but education in general. That's what I do, but first and foremost, I'm a language teacher. Like you, I've managed to keep a language teaching position over the years. I teach virtually for State University in Mexico. And this past year, I had the opportunity to go back to my original roots, and I taught an English 1 course, true beginners of English, through Zoom, which was quite a challenge. But yeah, as it was said at the beginning, once a teacher, always a teacher, right? And so that's what I am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay. That was lovely. Carol, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, differently from you, I'm sorry about my pronunciation. I'm recovering from double jaw surgery. So, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was a teenager. I was quite rebellious. But I started teaching when I was 17. I had just arrived from an exchange student program, and I was hired by the school where I used to study. So I started teaching and studying tourism and hotel management, not language arts at all. And my intention was to teach to pay off my tuition and then become something else. And halfway through my course, I realized that I was a teacher, and I would always be a teacher, and I was a teacher at heart. So I didn't choose it, it chose me. And if I were to go back 27 years, I would choose it all over again. And so I started teaching when I was 17, and then I went to college and studied language arts. And as the profession and the practice required, I went on studying school management and master's degree and all that. But that was all a consequence of wanting to be a better teacher. And I don't think it was ever about teaching. It was always about learning. It's always wanting to be a learner, always wanting to learn more, to do better. to do the best I could by my students. I think it was that. So I started as a teacher 14 years. I'm from Minas Gerais. 14 years ago, I took a bus to Brasília. Clarissa was in my sample lesson, and she was present there. A few people who are here have also worked with me. And I emailed Thomas my resume, and I was invited for an interview. I was hired, and so I became a teacher here at CAS in 2012. I worked here for 3 years, and from that on, I became a coordinator. I worked at publishing houses. I became an author. Now I'm at UNB as a substitute professor and taking my doctoral studies. But I think at all, I'm still a teacher. A college
Always.
professor, but a teacher, always a teacher, but a learner above all. I think that's what moves me, curiosity to learn. My dentist asked me yesterday, she said, okay, you're talking 30 days after me. I said, yeah. And she said, when do you intend to stop? I told her, when I die, maybe. I don't intend to. Where's the finish line? And there's no such thing as a finish line for learning.
Yeah, the job never done.
Yeah, so now I'm a freelancer for a freelance worker, kind of unorthodox, I know. But I write materials for publishing houses. I deliver teacher training sessions all over Brazil, and I'm a student, again, at UNB.
Thank you, Carol. Rafael, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I guess my history with teaching English is very similar to Carol. And one question that people usually tend to ask us when we start speaking English or whatever context is like, oh, when did you learn English? And I always answer, I don't know. Since ever. So since I was a very small boy, I was always around the language. My parents had no idea why, because nobody in my family had whatever connection whatsoever with the language. And then I started studying English in a private English school. And then at a certain moment, they invited me to start teaching. And I think the click I had was that I found myself in studying a lot of other things other than English and learning about many other topics, like about, I don't know, different animals around the globe. The types of trees around the world, this kind of things. And that was like, oh, okay, so I can get two things out of one, It's like I can work, teach, and also learn at the same time. So for me, learning is also one of the biggest parts of being a teacher, And then I had different experiences from teaching English, then publishing houses, and now I work in a network of schools, 97 schools around Brazil, and I don't work with English language anymore only, but mainly with internationalization, which is also a very difficult word to do, to be speaking all the time, and we do that. But this is something that for us is very rewarding because it broadens the perspective of what teaching a language actually means in the world that we live in. So I guess this is it.
Nice, thank you very much. Okay, so we are all very comfortable. We're all teachers. We all have gone through a lot of the same experiences. So let's talk a little bit about this today, guys. Good morning, welcome. English is no longer a subject, it's a global currency. Today we are joined by 3 experts to discuss how we as educators can stay relevant in this rapidly shifting landscape. I'll ask our guests to introduce themselves by answering, what does your daily educational world look like, and how has it changed in the last 5 years? Let's begin with Jay, please.
My educational world looks like extremely virtual nowadays. It's like almost everything I have access to in order to maintain this streak, if you may, of being a lifelong learner. It's now being presented to me through a screen. So it's a rather digital experience nowadays. And that has its pros as its cons, as I visualize it. It's far more accessible. Like in the past, if I needed to learn about, a new approach, a new pedagogical trait that I overheard about at a conference, I needed to order a book and wait for like weeks or months in order to get that and start digesting that information. Nowadays, it takes pretty much the tap of a screen. What's the downside of it? There's a surplus, if you know what I mean, of information around us. So it's difficult for us to focus on this is what I want to learn and this is what I'm gonna take a deep dive into, because there's a lot of information around us. But a typical day when it comes to education and lifelong learning to me implies that being or having the possibility of accessing whatever the information I need from a handheld device, but also the need for developing critical thinking in order to focus on what is it that I really need to have information about, and what are the things that are really going to make a difference in my learning process.
Very well put. And I think we all deserve a round of applause to ourselves, because all of us have graduated before ChatGPT.
Yes.
We all done that work. All of us.
Yeah.
Remember Barça, encyclopedias? Yeah, we're from that time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jair. How about you, Carol? What's your world like today?
I work with many different contexts nowadays because at the same time, on Monday I'm at university, and then on Tuesday I'll be in São Paulo delivering a training session for public school teachers. So I end up exchanging, and I think that's keyword, collaboration and exchange, with teachers with very different realities from the reality I used to teach in and that I teach in. So I think I learn a lot about because of that. And in publishing, I work with writers from all over Brazil. I've never seen them face to face. So like I said, some of it is digital, some of it is face to face, because I end up traveling to deliver training sessions, but I do face-to-face here in Brasilia as well. But with writing, I don't know, sometimes we'll spend 40 minutes. It will sound obsessive, but over-preparation is my biggest flaw. Sometimes we spend 40 minutes discussing what color the bike lane is over Teams with people from 5 different states, each one with a picture of the bike lanes in their own cities, and but what color bike lane we'll put on the textbook, because the bike lane here is gray and the bike lane in São Paulo is red. So I think it's extremely interesting and completely different. My reality today is completely different from what I pictured 27 years ago when I started teaching. I don't think I ever imagined myself doing what I do today. It's completely different. And I say like, oh, what do you do? I can't say one thing, because some people say, I work at the same place. I don't. I'm on my own, freelance, and I do different things, and I think that's what moves me, because it's not boring. I learned something. I couldn't do the same thing over and over every day. So I do 3 different things, and that's what keeps me going. Relationships and the collaboration.
Even in the classroom, right? If you teach the same class 3 days, three times the same day, it's going to be 3 different classes, right? Thank you, Carol. How about you, Rafael?
Well, as I mentioned, I work at the network in the national office. So basically, my everyday challenge is to help design educational experiences for all the schools. I don't know if everyone knows, but Marista holds 64 paid schools and also 37 schools that we call social schools, which work like public schools, but they are Marist ones. And our job and one of our biggest challenges is to bring internationalization into all of these schools. So today, when we think about internationalization, is something, as I mentioned before, broader than just thinking about, an exchange program in another country, or just designing, or planning a high school program, or just designing, a bilingual curriculum for some of the schools. So for us, I think the biggest challenge is this, how to bring internationalization into the curriculum. And something that we used to say is that internationalization doesn't necessarily require a passport. You can do internationalization inside the classroom, because especially in English language, not only English, but the language lessons like Portuguese lessons, English lessons, or Spanish or French, whatever the context it is, we are teaching much more than just a language. We are building like a bridge for our students to really connect with the world. You know, it's something that for us is maybe the strongest view we want to come across. You know, it's something that we really want our students in our social units to understand that the world is theirs too, that they can really connect with something that is maybe far beyond their reality, you know, but it's possible. So I do some of my time. Some other times we are really designing curriculum for different contexts. So because we're talking about Brazil, so 97 schools across the country, so the regions are very different. The laws in different states are very different. The culture in each state is very different, so bike lanes have different colors. The way the families and the communities understand learning a language is also very different. So if you are in the capital, in the south, the idea of learning a language is something. If you are in the countryside, in the northeast, the idea of learning a language is another thing. So this is something that for us is a very, very big challenge. And we have fun every day thinking about that and trying to design this complex idea of internationalization, but bringing it into something that is practical for all our teachers. And this is also something special. We don't think internationalization is something that is for English or language teachers. It's for all teachers. Another thing we used to say is that the English lesson is not the most internationalized, I don't know. It's a difficult word, guys. Yes. but the most one, okay, for it is actually social studies, you know, like geography, history, because these are the ones that bring different ideas from different perspectives, from different cultures for our students. So, of course, language learning is something that can help them bring themselves into the world, but when we think about bringing the world into the classroom, this is everyone's job. So that's a
The boring job. All right, guys, moving along. Let's talk about the global in global English. We are teaching a language that no longer belongs to its origins. English today is spoken by 1.5 billion people around the world. Approximately 75% of them are non-native. So actually, more people speak English as a second language than people speak English as a first language. It's a little crazy. So bilingual education doesn't just teach words. It literally reshapes matter. Studies show bilingual brains are significantly better at task switching and delay the onset of Alzheimer's symptoms by an average of up 4 to 5 years. So studying is good for your brain at any age. So the question is here. Many teachers feel a linguistic anxiety about not being native speakers or not knowing every slang term. How can professional development help teachers embrace their identity as intercultural communicators rather than just grammar checkers? So let's begin with Carol.
Okay.
Would you like me? I wanted to shape it up a little bit, but if
Test
you
my
want.
bilingual brain and the flexibility, plasticity. To be alert, you're
Exactly.
creating
Right.
anxiety. Now, well, I think that when the biggest service we can do to our students is to help them value their culture. I remember when I started teaching, it would be like, oh, I'm teaching, and the parents would ask that, are you teaching American English or British English? So you would need to be mimicking one of those two accents, and I remember at least people from my generation, most of us would have Friends accent, you know, like a Rachel-like accent, because we would watch we didn't have access to that. And it's just like I started teaching with cassette tapes. So, you know, so we had very little access to series and things like so we had very few episodes of Friends and the ones we knew by heart, and we would try to copy that accent. And most teachers I knew had a Friends-like accent or a very British accent, especially ones who worked at a very other large institution who famously teaches British English. So there were like two types of teacher. And the ones who spoke Americanized English and the ones who spoke British English. Yeah, let's challenge our advanced suffixes. And there was a lot of prejudice. I remember people playing games and correcting each other and being self-conscious about speaking. And I think course books had something to do with that, because course books, they had content that was foreign to us. They were all imported. They all portrayed culture that wasn't our own culture. So you would have a breakfast unit and it would talk about waffles and bacon and maple syrup in a country where we drink coffee, milk, bread and butter. And we would have to discuss like snow clothes. And we have a year-round bikini weather. So we wouldn't discuss, what we're going to wear for boots in Rio de Janeiro. Some people try really hard to wear them here in Brasilia, yeah, but it's like once a year. So we would value that culture. It was something we wanted to copy. And I think we have shifted from shifted from that reality to, because if we teach our students to overvalue that culture and not our own, they won't feel part of that culture or that language, as a matter of fact. So they're not going to be proud of talking about eating coxinha for their birthdays because that's not what people eat there. And I think that we need to do that service to our students. We need to be proud of our culture, own our accent, own the fact that we started that. We learned verb to be. We learned, hopefully we're not going to torture our students, making them do it the same way, go through the audio lingo. Yeah? But it was effective. I'm living proof of it. So, but we're not going to torture our students anymore. That's my hope. But we should value our culture, be proud of our accent, proud of who we are, so our students are proud of who they are, and they can interact with the world being proud of being Brazilian, of speaking Brazilian English, and being fluent speakers, because that's a feat in itself. Fluent speakers of Brazilian English. I've spent 27 years studying the language. Yes, I have an accent. I'll always have an accent. I'm from Minas Gerais. I've been here for 14 years. I still have an accent. Every time I eat a pão de queijo, I will get all my accent back, and it gets worse. My husband says that every time I go to Minas Gerais, when I come back, amor has 3 syllables. Amor. And I'm going to transfer that to my English as well, and it's okay. Because the accent is the first thing that will tell people that you do speak more than one language, sometimes 3. And that's something to be proud of, not ashamed of.
That's beautiful. I love that. It keeps our identity, right? And it keeps people in general with this identity and how we even identify in the different languages we speak, right? We really have a different tone of voice while speaking English or Spanish or our mother tongue. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. How about you, Jair? What do you say?
So last week, I had a meeting with my recently appointed new boss. There's a new general manager at my company, and the first question I got asked was, how difficult it is for you with your accent and your looks to, and he was very open on that. And by the way, he's from India. And so there was also an accent and a certain look playing a role in the conversation. But it was a very genuine question. How challenging it is for you as an advocate of English language teaching and learning, being a non-native speaker, trying to train other teachers that perhaps have the expectation of getting a native speaker with a perfect accent, a more, let's say, Anglo-Saxon look, if you know what I mean. And then they get this Mexican guy with a rather thick accent, and my answer to that, and I didn't actually think much about it, I just said, there's no challenge anymore. I don't think teachers nowadays visualize English as an American or a British language that has to be taught through references to the American way of life or the British way of life with a perfect American accent. Because we've realized that there's no such thing to begin with. What's an American accent? American from where? Are you thinking Southern California? Are you thinking San Francisco? Are you thinking New York? New York? Is it the Bronx? Or is it, upper state? Or is it Manhattan? So there's no such thing. And going back to your question of how can professional development aid teachers overcome that challenge, I think it's a matter of concentrating on what really matters in the profession of English language teaching. We were brought up as teachers, well, some of us, because I see very young faces in the audience. I also see some seasoned faces, so maybe you can follow along. But we were brought up on the idea that there were two methodologies for English language teaching. It's either ESL or EFL. Are you going to be teaching English as a second language, or are you going to be teaching it as a foreign language? Nowadays, such distinctions make or have no meaning, right? And there's a new term that I think teachers need training on at the moment of teaching the language. That's ELF, because we love acronyms in English instruction, right? So we're coming from ESL and EFL to ELF, which is English as a lingua franca. English as the coin of exchange, that the currency that we're going to use for exchanging thoughts and ideas cohesively and coherently. In spite of the accent, in spite of the sometimes weird choice of words you might fall into, what really matters is the intelligibility that you have at the moment of expressing your thoughts and your ideas cohesively and coherently in English. The more we get fully aware of that new reality in the way English is used in the world, the less we're going to pay attention to, gosh, I'm a non-native speaker. I got to teach my students the perfect American accent, because that is, at the end, useless nowadays. And it's not just me or my organization claiming that. There's the research by the British Council and the US State Department on the amount of people speaking English in the world right now that was cited before. And there's even mass media like Newsweek magazine, a very popular, massive circulation magazine in the US, that a few months ago issued an article on who owns English. And that was the big question that was put on the cover of the magazine. Who owns English? And the answer to that is the world. So since the world owns English, and I'm gonna steal your phrase from before, which happens to be our mission at National Geographic Learning, what really matters nowadays is the possibility of bringing the world into the classroom at the moment you teach the language. And there's a strong logic behind it. If English is the most globally used language in the world, why not using global content to teach the language? So that's what should concern us more than sounding like or pretending to mirror an accent or a way of discourse that in this global era that we're living in has no practical use, if you know what I mean, right? Yeah.
Something Clarissa mentioned earlier about the safe environment. Yeah. If you feel safe in the English that you are able to produce and to speak, and you can make your students feel safe in this environment that you create, and intelligibility happens, and comprehension happens, and you find something relatable that it makes sense for them, that is part of their lives, we are more than halfway done, right? Yeah. Lovely. Thank you, Jair. How about you, Rafael?
Well, I'd like actually to start by asking a question. Who here speaks perfect Portuguese?
The foreigner.
And probably that's the truth, you know, because...
He probably studies more grammar than we
yes,
did.
Yes, that's my point. So, and that's the point of the reflection here. So, why do we keep chasing speaking perfect English if there's such thing as English? Is it me?
I think it's the angle sometimes.
Is it me? No, it's not me. Yeah, it's the Andrew. So this is the question for me, why do we keep chasing something that is not reachable? And we spend so much energy with that, where we could actually be spending our energy into thinking about ends, for example. We could be thinking about how to design better learning experiences, how the brain actually learns a language, you know. So for me, communication is the focus we should be looking at, not perfection. So for me, this is, I made some notes on this one because this is one of the topics I like a lot. And I have like a shifting questions here, which would be something interesting to think about. So instead of spending our energy into asking, how can I sound like a native speaker? Why don't we spend our energy in asking, how can I help my students communicate effectively across cultures? I think this should be our main focus. We're in 2026. We have moved on from EFL, ESL, so we are in a different stage. That idea of reaching real English only through, I don't know, some limited number of series that we could access, or movies or whatever, this is not a reality anymore. If I want to ask, if I wanted to ask you here, guys, like, give me a different kind of English use right now, you would all get your phones and you would go on Google, TikTok, ChatGPT, I don't know, whatever tool you'd use, and you'd give me like, I don't know, 80 different answers. So that's the thing. And one of the terms in your question for us in Marista is very, very important, because nowadays we understand the concept of internationalization under 4 axes. So global citizenship education is the first one. Plurilingualism, so this idea of understanding the world through different means of language. So not only the way of spoken language, but different. Now we need to learn how to read images. And Clarissa today asked us to read the room, read our students. So this is an ability we should be focusing on. We also have the idea of internationalization for all. So how to design curriculum experiences, but also interculturality. That's one of our axes. And we compare this one with multiculturality. So the difference for us is, the first, we understand that cultures are interconnected and they are doing the exchange movement. So it's me coming here, having this weather, you know, which is very dry. I come from Curitiba. It's raining cats and dogs there since yesterday. Very humid, you know, and this tells a lot of how people live in different ways. And my movement is not to come here and tell you, oh no, but when it rains in Brasilia, you need to do that. Because I know best, in Curitiba it rains much more than it rains here, you know? So it's not this idea. It's like understanding that, oh, interesting, it doesn't rain that much in here. So how do they do when it rains in here, you know? Like, do they have like the number of umbrellas that we have at home in Curitiba, you know, the type of shoes that we have. So this is interculturality, so which is the next step of multiculturality, because multiculturality would be just, okay, I know there is something different from me. I know there is a different culture over there, but okay, I know it exists. I accept the fact, you know. But inside the classroom, we need to make our students, you know, and tease them with, how would you do this kind of exchange with a different culture. And I think this is a very important step in teaching a language. So you bring something different, not only to be recognized, but to put students in that place where, how would you react? How would you do this? How would you talk to a person in a different context? So I think, again, teaching a language nowadays for us is seeing much more than just the language, but it's teaching how to, make this context of different cultures interacting meaningful. So,
Yeah, that's beautiful. Because I think this is something that we, you guys as our teachers, think about this a lot, and we encourage you to do this a lot, is to make it personal, right? Personalize the experience. What does that look like to you in your city, in your classroom, in your day by day? Yeah? What does it look like to you? Make it your own, make it a personal experience. Nice. So still talking a little bit about global, but changing a little segue here. In the current global climate, we see a digital divide. How can a teacher remain a global educator if they have limited access to high-tech tools? Is it CPD only about technology, or is it about mindset? Just a little context, guys. We work with a lot of teachers that have super high-tech schools, but we also work with a lot of teachers that have no tech at all, right? And I think we as educators have been looking at this path towards less tech and more real involvement. So how do you see this happening in the world today? Now I'm going to start with Rafael, just to make it different. Rafael, please.
Again, I like questions. So the thing is, what technology are we talking about here? Like paper is some kind of technology, pen, pencil. But if we're talking about digital tools necessarily, I don't believe it is necessary for a good learning experience. I think it might help. It might give teachers and educators some different perspectives, and it might facilitate some, designing of ideas or, proposals for different activities. But I don't believe this is what makes learning visible. I think, and not many days ago, I was talking to a friend, and the discussion was around this topic. And one sentence that came up in that discussion was, we need to be very aware of not confusing, the idea of tool with purpose. So what is the purpose of your lesson? What is the purpose of your learning experience? And then from that, you can plan and design and think of the tools that might help you build and design these experiences. So we cannot, because nowadays, especially with AI, guys, AI is so easy, like in terms of you just ask a question and you can have like a master's degree done for you, basically, and it gives us like this, I don't know, we're going through this, so I don't know if we're really able to have a deep, thinking already about the impacts of AI, but it's something that brings us to this idea of what is my role here? Is AI really able to substitute and replace a teacher inside the classroom? Is it? It's a question. I really don't know. Sometimes it looks like yes, but most of the time, and then Clarissa made it very clear today, does AI make us feel safe? does it connect? You know, it talks to us. It talks to us. I just learned that ChatGPT now, you can really talk to it and like have you know, a chat conversation, like just by talking. And I tested it and I was a bit afraid. You know, when you do something and you feel like you're doing something wrong and you just close it and no, I don't want that anymore to my life. Because I was quite scared actually, because it's something that is difficult. So, but coming back, I don't think that technology is, again, the purpose. I think we need to learn how to see it as the tool, you know, and especially for our schools, understand that, yes, it's a tool. It's not something that will, it's just like, think of a piano. It's a tool, but if there is not a human being that knows what it's doing, we won't have a song. We'll have just noise, right? So I think that would be my idea.
Very poetic. Thank you, Rafael. How about you, Carol?
Wow. Technology. When I started teaching with cassette tapes in Muzzy videos, who are older know what I'm talking about. I still know all the songs from Muzzy by heart because I watched them multiple times. They were like a cartoon to teach English. From that to nowadays, I've seen iPads, whiteboards, smart boards, bots, maker cards, now AI, platforms, gamification, and whatever colorful, bright thing they're going to come up with next. Maybe a robot who teaches English. A couple weeks ago, I was present in an experience at UNB in which we had an AI student. It wrote, a colleague of mine wrote a full piece of work, like an end of the course work, a capstone project, using AI. Then a humanoid presented the work, and then the computer evaluated the work. So we had computer presenting, doing the work, presenting the work, and another computer evaluating the work. And I don't think that was any more meaningful than sitting in a circle and singing a song with. And I'm not saying that this is the best strategy, but I've seen like, I think if we're chasing technology, we'll always be like a dog chasing its tail. There will always, as soon as we learn something, something else will come up. There is a fair in São Paulo, Bete do Carmo. It's not Bete do Carmo anymore, it's Bete Brasil. You walk around and you see like, oh, shiny objects. Every place will try to sell you something else that will revolutionize learning and teaching in the classroom, and I've been hearing that over and over with every new shiny object. And I don't think it's about learning how to use, of course, that I had to. If I was to using cassette tapes, I wouldn't be sitting here today and I wouldn't have been able to keep my job. I had to learn how to use a platform and how to teach online and how to use AI meaningfully. But I think the bottom line is it has to be pedagogically grounded. And the key word behind it is intentionality. You don't know what you're doing with it. I've seen, oh, Bebot, let's program the robot. If you don't know why you're programming, we have to, and especially now with AI, with all the answers right there in your hand, you have to teach students how to, not teach, I really don't like the word teach. You have to help students, aid students to ask better questions because the answers are right there. So they have to be critical of the technology they're using. We have to be critical of the technology we're using. And intentionality. I think as long as we're intentional about it, I don't think I would be threatened by it. And I was able to keep learning how to use new things, but not over eager to, oh, tech savvy, I have to learn now GPT-4, now 5, now 6, now 7, GPT-10 plus. I'm not threatened by it because I think teaching is about relationships. It's about connecting with people. And I don't think a robot could spend a day in the classroom without kids breaking it or driving it nuts. I think the robot would quit in a week. But I think that's it. Intentionality, no matter what. You can have the most colorful. I was telling a colleague a few minutes ago that I was delivering a training session in a school and I said, okay, how do I start this now? They don't have desks for all the students. They're short 80 desks. So if everyone comes to class a certain day, these students will have to stand up. How am I going to talk about AI in that school? But that same teacher can do something relevant with those students. He's intentional about it. He's connecting with those students. So start from.
Yeah, I want to insert here that meme that says AI is going to take your job, and all teachers are like, when? I'm ready. You want to come here and deal with 18 brats? Jair, please, what is your thought?
It's an interesting question to ask a guy that started teaching using the overhead projector and tapes or playing the audio for the conversation in the unit. I guess, as you've well said before, what really should matter at the moment of using technology in the classroom is what sort of skill am I promoting on my students? Am I using technology just because it's cool and I want to look hip and trendy and fresh? Or am I really challenging my students with skills development through the use of this technology? And then going back to your question, once you have clarity, once you know about what's the intention, as you mentioned before, then you make decisions. Do I have access to technology? Then I'm going to use it. But if not, I still have clarity on the skill, so I can devise other strategies for developing that skill further. That's one thing. And the other thing, and I, before starting this conversation, I asked how bold can I be on my comments, and I said, go the 9 miles, so I will. We've reached the point in reality in which, when you think of it, our students don't need us for using English. Not learning English, but using English. Our students don't need to learn English anymore. They can use instant translation from their handheld device and get through life without having to memorize not even one verb in a regular past, without having to study a grammatical structure. So learning English in the way it's been traditionally thought and presented, it's no longer even practical nowadays. Think of it. Our students don't need us for English language development and proficiency. So what's our role nowadays? I've been asking that question myself exhaustively over the last year, and I've come to one answer. We need to help our students develop skills. And not language skills exclusively, not just listening, speaking, and writing, but what we call now future-ready skills. Maybe our mission as language educators has shifted from presenting the grammar and the vocabulary to students to helping them develop abilities to use the language proficiently, coherently, cohesively, intelligibly, as we talked about before, in several different contexts in the world. Our students, again, don't need us for learning vocabulary and grammar. That's a given. They need us for skills development. So how can we use technology in order to support that? That should be the question. And if I didn't have the chance to use technology in my class, how can I supplement that with other teaching strategies in my practice, right? How can I help my students develop abilities such as communication, intercultural communication? How can I help my students develop creativity in language practice? How can I help my students develop critical thinking, digital literacy? How can I help my students use English for prompting correctly? Rather than fighting against ChatGPT, how can I use English in order to get better answers from ChatGPT? Those are the things that should matter now. And for that, technology plays, as you very well mentioned, an amazing supplement, but it's not at the center of the practice. What really matters is what your students need and the way you devise for catering to that need. And technology could be a tool in the process. But again, think of it. Future-ready skills, the way in which your students are going to use English successfully for gaining, a better life, if you may. That's what should matter more than I'm not using AI because there's no Wi-Fi in my school. They're going to be using it anyways. When they leave school, they have access to that. So that shouldn't be of our concern. What really matters is how can I better prepare my students to do it, right? That's my take on that.
And thinking that we should never be dependable on something else, right? Because all the learning happens inside your brain. If you need something else to make that happen, you don't own this knowledge, right? You just have a piece of equipment, and what if you are in the middle of the street and you have no battery? What if the internet breaks and you have no access? What if we don't have energy? Your brain doesn't stop. Your brain keeps going. So you're going to search within all of the things that you've learned, and you only learn by doing it, right? Okay, guys, we're going to get more personal now. Moving from the world to the individual, let's talk about professional development. It's going to get emotional. I'm kidding. Teachers are exhausted. How do we make professional development feel like a resource that gives them energy rather than just another item on an overcrowded to-do list? Boring jobs? We have time to be bored. Now let's begin. Jenny, please.
Why me?
Because I'm mixing it up. You need to be on your toes.
There's, we're exhausted. Let's just face it. But on top of that, there's always, the idea that it's not just once a teacher, always a teacher, as we said before. It should also be once a learner, always a learner. So the more you realize that, even though you feel tired, exhausted, and sometimes disenchanted, if you know what I mean, by the reality of education in this, in current times, there's always room for new learning. And the more you open to that, the better you'll feel and the most rewarding the process will get. So I think it's a matter of understanding that in spite of all the issues that we're facing, and in spite of all the drawbacks that perhaps we go through, there's always room for improvement. There's always something new to learn. I was blown away by the previous presentation. And we talked about that briefly after the session, learning how traumas can be inherited and how that it's been coded in our genome. That's crazy, and that completely changes the landscape of not only psychology, but also pedagogy and education in the world. So even though I've been traveling for the last 3 weeks and I've been doing a lot of talks and visiting a lot of schools, Now I'm committed, I'm curious about learning more about it, and I'm committed to go back home and do a bit of research on that specific fact, because that piqued on my curiosity and I want to know more about it. That's professional development at its best, when you're open and willing to feel the excitement of something new that could at the end aid your developmental process, if you know what I mean. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, no matter how exhausted we are, as teachers, as true teachers that have a love for this profession, we should always be open to new learning, new ideas, new ways of doing things. And we should also be aware of the iteration process, the trial and error process. It's like, yes, I'm exhausted because I've tried many different things with my students and none of them seem to work. There's always a new possibility, and there's always a new class. There's always a tomorrow in which you can try something different that would perhaps help your students to learn in a better way. Because at the end, that should be our ultimate goal. To help our students have, I'm going to steal your words here, have stronger, better learning experiences. And you get to that through, again, professional development and an openness and a willingness to keep on learning in spite of how stressed out you feel or how exhausted you feel, right?
That's lovely.
Exactly, curiosity.
Keep curious. Awesome. Carol, and you?
I feel less, you're not going to invite us anymore, are you? You're not going to be romantic. I think
I
if
want
you're-
the real life.
I believe that if you're exhausted, you have no room for learning anything new. So first of all, I think that should be a concern of teachers, to take care of their free time, to be mindful of their hours and everything else. I remember because I used to work in 3 different schools during the day and go to college at night. So, and I used to correct my tests while attending college lessons. Sometimes I would share my tests with my colleagues, every day was a different one. We were in class, Monday is Carol's test, Marissa's test. So we would share that during college lessons while attending college. So I didn't have the privilege of just studying. I was always exhausted. When we're always exhausted, we don't want to learn anything else. So I think teacher training, I'm going to touch another point here, because I think it can be the best workshop or the best meeting. We can be here, we can be motivated. If we're dragging our bodies, we won't be able to do it. So be mindful. This burnout is a serious issue for teachers. But once that's taken care of, I think more than, especially because I travel and talk to different teachers, I try to be real about it. I'm not going to bring I'm not going to say something magic that's going to be life-changing for teachers. That's not the point. But it's about creating a learning community. I think that really makes a difference, because we're not 100% every day, but sometimes you go in the teacher's room and talk to someone, and that person will tell you something that will support you emotionally, or will share a lesson with you, or will share a tip with you, or something they did with their group that really worked. So I think it's about creating communities. So we have in service once a year, twice a year, but we are together in the lounge every day. I think creating those communities and sharing lessons. I remember we used to have, I'm looking at a colleague here because we used to work together here. We had it was even an online space, BB Works website, in which we would share our lessons with each other. And that makes things lighter. You would share, and I prepared today, you prepared something awesome the other day, and we shared that. That ability to learn with each other, that makes a whole world of you having somebody to have your back, somebody who is there with you. So I think I feel re-energized every time I come here. I listen to Clarissa talk, and I'm like, okay, I can use that on Monday. And a training session, the best sessions are like that. They say, oh, okay, they get my reality. But I'm not going to go to a school that doesn't have 80 desks and going to talk about the pink student using AI and rock their techniques and sparkles, and you're going to spend 1 hour preparing a perfect lesson. That's not going to work. So I think that's about the community. Because those communities, you take them with you for a long time. There are people who are in this place here that I've known for 14 years, who have been a part of my life for 14 years, who have attended my wedding, who have, I don't know, whom I've been able to call and say, oh, what are you doing, Dudu? I'm doing an event. Can you be there with me? And like, oh, I'm doing an event as well. Can you be there with me? So I think it's about the connections, the learning communities. And we're in a very isolating, teaching is an isolating profession because most of the time you're with all those students who are demanding and you're alone in front of them. So whenever we have time to be together and to share with people who know what we're going through, I think that's very rewarding, and we should foster that because we're in a time of performance. Everything has to be, have to post, and we have to perform this aesthetic lifestyle. So romantic teaching, I changed my students' life today. If room 1010 here could talk, it would tell you that I've cried a couple times in between lessons.
So sharing is caring.
Sharing
like we
is
always
caring.
say.
I think that.
Thank you, Carol. Really quickly, Rafael.
Yeah, I
We're-
know.
we're-
Okay,
we're
I think I
getting
have
there.
four points here. Taking Carol's train here, I would go the next step and say that the involvement and engagement of managers is also very, very, very necessary in order to think about this exhaustion. This is not something that is this feeling of being tired of all the time. It was not created by ourselves, teachers. You know, it's structural within certain contexts. So I think the involvement of managers and their engagement in thinking about, are my teachers, is my group of teachers being taken care of or not? And this leads me to the next movement, which is when managers do that. So PD is done with the teachers and not to the teachers. So the next session will be about something that is really going around in the teacher's lounge and not something that I created in my own mind and I think, oh, I think they will find it interesting. And the connection here is real to when you think of your students. That's the same thing inside the classroom. Do things with them, not to them. You know, this is very, very important. And the third point would be, yeah, PD should be Monday morning. I can do that. That's the best one. You know, yeah, I can think about it and, oh, okay, this is very, very okay for me to put into my next lessons plan. So I think this is very important. And also, and the last point for me would be, regardless the theme of the PD session, it should always embrace a moment at least, so that it focuses on bringing teachers back to the idea of, why am I doing this? So it must focus on purpose as well. So why am I a teacher? You know, this reflective moment of, okay, I can apply on Monday morning, it's important, my manager is here, but why am I doing this and not another person. So I think this is also very important when thinking about professional development and this feeling of exhaustion.
That's great, thank you. Guys, we only have 5 more minutes, so I'm going to get some questions from you guys, okay? I'm going to direct one question per, and if you can make it brief, please. Jair, let's begin with you. What did you see in other countries that we as Brazilian speakers, language teachers, I'm sorry, need to improve? What do Brazilian teachers need to improve in teaching of English?
That's an interesting question. And to my surprise, when my role became global, I thought that I was going to face like completely different realities on different regions of the world. I just visited China and Korea last month, and I was expecting a completely different reality in education to what I'm very familiar with in Latin America, not just in Brazil, but in Latin America in general. And again, to my surprise, what I found was teachers complain about the same stuff, they request for the same sort of resources, and they describe students in the very same way teachers describe students everywhere else. So I haven't been able to spot out major differences in teachers in different regions of the world. In fact, perhaps, and I don't know how accurate this is for you, but I have the perception that perhaps Brazilian teachers do still have that little concern about sounding native-like that teachers in other countries have totally, got rid of. That's one thing that perhaps we need to improve. Being aware of the reality of, intelligibility, cohesiveness, and coherence rather than sounding like a native speaker. And the more we get into that, the better teachers will get. But other than that, it's pretty much the same landscape for teachers everywhere.
It's a collective experience.
Yep.
It is, right? Lovely. All right. Carol, they asked you for an advice. What do you think we can do to motivate more experienced students that didn't have any experience with English? So older students that have no background in like 6th grade, 7th grade, starting English for the first time.
Well, try to make it connect to their reality. Last month I was in São Paulo and I was working with Asia teachers. So they have 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds in a public school in Asia. And they're like, oh, how am I gonna work with them? They're learning like simple things in Portuguese as well. And I told them, try to get personal, especially with older students. I even told them to try to relate to that health aspect of learning 2 languages. But I would say try to connect with them on a personal level. What do they like? What do they care about? What can they bring? So always start working with what you have at hand. Assess your student, not assess like evaluate, assess what they like, what they dislike, what they can bring, and how you can connect with that at a personal level. Because sometimes you have an older student who is at the height of teenagehood, like what it says. 22 is not a ballpark either. Let me tell you what, I'll tell you the next chapter is not better.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Yeah, 15 is not, but 22 is not nice. Especially when they're still at home, because they feel grown up. Well, I don't have kids. I have a stepson. I studied far too much and I forgot to have kids. And that's a problem, so be mindful of that as well. So I think that would be it. Try to connect with them on a because I don't have little time. Try to connect them, find something they care about, and then they will give you language learning in return.
That's great. So once again, personalize it, right? Don't just
But
repeat
that doesn't
it.
mean making 10 different lesson plans for one group. Just
Okay. Rafael, the question for you is a little long. Let me try and reduce it. So thinking about today's students, they are digital natives. They interact with technology naturally every day. How can we intentionally integrate digital tools and AI into the learning experience without losing sight of the pedagogical intention?
I think I'll go back to the sentence I used before while talking about technology. Do not confuse the tool with the purpose. I think that's the basics for everything when it comes to digital tools inside the classroom. Because again, you can have very limited tools and still have a wonderful global-minded lesson that is filled with interculturality, filled with very meaningful learning experiences, regardless of their age, you know. So I think this is the main topic here. So thinking about the intentionality, like Carol mentioned before, like, why am I doing this? Because maybe just inviting someone from the local community to tell our students a story about their own life might mean a wonderful lesson. And if you can bring digital tools to connect with that, not to replace that, I think that's the you know, the sauce.
Beautiful. Okay, I'll take 1 extra minute. This is a question for everybody, and I would like you to think of a very simple answer for this. What is the most rewarding part of being an English educator in this chaotic and globalized era?
helping students develop abilities for expressing their thoughts and feelings in the target language. That's the most rewarding part.
That's beautiful. How about you, Carol?
gonna say meeting a student on the street, taking
Tia Carol!
No, it's worse. Taking their kid to class. I met one right here at the cafeteria. I was there and he was, remember, you were my teacher. This is my kid. I'm bringing him to class. Wow. And they still remembered my name. I think that's, you're going to say, oh, all English teachers have big egos. Yeah? They like to be recognized on the street. As an introvert in an extroverted profession, I think that's one of the things, like, meaning, knowing that I made, like, something, stayed with that, that
That's
kid.
And you have?
I think the most rewarding part is seeing that the bridges that you helped build for a certain moment, they are being used. They are really using this bridge into their lives. So they come and go in different cultures. They learn how to understand. I've been using a different term for chaotic, but which is not term but sentence, like
Lively.
yeah. No, it's something that I think it's more maybe poetic, like you mentioned before, but in this world where diversity is the norm, so everything is so different, so they need to use these bridges to, you know, be able to connect with these differences. So I think this is it.
That's amazing. That was lovely, guys. Thank you so, so much. Thank you for all your knowledge, all your passion that you bring. And thank you for participating and listening to us. We're going to take the lunch break now.
Take a photo, okay? I'm just going to give some like things to tell you. First of all, thank you very much for the whole morning. We still have a whole afternoon with the event. So we're going to have feedback for the afternoon and a feedback for the morning. So please answer us, give us the feedback about our first session. And it's very important that we have feedback so we can, what mentioned, listen to the teachers and organize also presentations and professional development that is linked to your reality. We try our best to do that all the time. And I just want to mention about students. Camila was my student in junior 2, and she told me I was like her first English teacher. And today she's one of our teachers. So it's part of the game. So when you mentioned, I said, yes, that's true, okay? So feedback, we also have here some suggestions for you for lunch, okay? A cantina está servindo almoço, so you can order, the menu is here, and also some restaurants that are around that are closed. We come back at 2 o'clock. The sessions are there. Maybe sometimes what they open, some phones are having when abre com a tábua extra, com a tábua vazia, porque todo mundo... We can help you, but then people, we use technology to try to organize the sessions. But we're gonna have like the room and people in the room, and then if you don't, you need to go to a different room, okay? That's gonna be the way to do it. Just Rafael Peixoto. Rafael Peixoto is not coming because he had a personal problem with his father, so he didn't come to Brasilia. So Rafael Peixoto is the only session that's not having the RPG one, okay? So tips for lunch, I hope you come back at 2 o'clock. We have a banner there for you to leave your mark with some markers, write a message for us there, and there is a bike there. Don't try to ride. Try to push it around, okay? That's a guess. I'm gonna talk about the bike later on the day, okay, in the evening, but there is a bike there next to the burner. Thank you very much. See you back 2 o'clock. People, I'm gonna ask you, the ones that are arriving, come here. Let's populate this area here. Vocês mesmos, já avisei antes. Eu passei no intervalo e vi. Rosângela, Bruno, so here. The last line should be this one here. With that's a lot of people here, a lot of rows, but here, let's come. Before I start, let's go. Yeah, people, this here is the last line. You have to be like closer. Okay. And you can also go to the middle, people, because then people that arrive late can join us. Thank you. Quantos telefones, Tatiana?
Hello, everyone. Is everyone here? Do you know anyone who's still outside? No? You heard everybody. Okay. Okay, so hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us today. It has been a day full of sharing experiences. We had so many wonderful teachers presenting in our concurrent sessions. And it is my honor, to present our next speaker. So, Dudu Moreira, as his artistic name stands, is an educator with over 2 decades of experience in language teaching, history, and teacher training. He's currently our pedagogical coordinator at Thomas Bilíngue for Schools at Casa Thomas Jefferson. He also serves as a U.S. history teacher trainer for Griggs International Academy, contributing to teacher development in international contexts. He holds a BA in English Language and Literature, as well as a BA in History from the University of Brasilia. Additionally, he completed a postgraduate specialization in autism spectrum disorder. His international qualifications include the Cambridge International Certificate in Teaching Bilingual Learners, the Certificate for Practicing Teachers from Trinity College London, and the Cambridge Delta Module 1. So, please welcome Dudu.
So thank you, people. It's a pleasure to be here. Most of you, the slides just to be there, that's a bit of me. Tati has already read, so we're not going to continue, but my LinkedIn and my Instagram here, feel free to follow and to exchange ideas. So let's go on. That's the reflection here, the title, beyond using future perfect, what we will have taken, because we like it, right? So with that study, we like to use this fancy grammar and vocabulary. On Monday, when people ask you about the event, what will you have taken in your heart to answer them? So now I'm going to do the most difficult exercise for me, which is to be quiet for 5 minutes. Okay? Probably going to be 3. But take your time and think about the answer. Okay? Now it's just the silent, awkward moment for the teachers, but we're just thinking. So please. It's funny to look at people. Thank you. Okay. Now they've taught, think the experience, everything that happened in this whole day up to now. Share with the people around you. I was going to say talk to someone different, but you're teachers, you have been together, and then we're going to be together in the last session. I'm not going to make you move. But move around, talk around, okay? Talk to people. If possible, to someone that you don't know, it's better, okay? But feel free, 5 minutes, and then I call you back. Okay? Pum, pararam, pum. We need to go back. 1, 2, 3. Eyes on me. 1, 2. Oh, thank you. Okay, quickly, I'm gonna take forever here, but does anyone want to share what you were discussing, something that you found interesting in your conversation? And so, oh, I got it. So no one's seeing you.
I was just telling that I really liked the first polyvagal speech about how we need to be this calm and safe person really in the classroom so that everybody can co-regulate. And I think it really kind of starts in us, right? So it was really good. I really liked it.
That's it. We need to pay attention to, and to do that, we need to pay attention to ourselves.
I just thought that it was interesting that, like, I attended 3 sessions, right? And all of them talked about connection, learning. The first one talked about safety, but we could say language, right? Language, and so I thought it was interesting because there were 3 sessions, 3 different sessions, and they all talked about connection, learning, and language, and I thought it was interesting.
Very good. Anyone else? Sharing? No? Yes?
Yeah, we were discussing, and she actually said that, but we were discussing about how interesting, independent how the age of your students, you have to put yourself as the adult. You have to be the person who will reconnect them, make them feel it's not safe. It's related to their emotions. They have to be stable, as we can say. Yeah, self-regulate and everything. And for me, it's kind of a challenge because I do have experience with the small ones, but now I'm gonna have a different experience in a different school, but with the adolescents, with the high school. So I think it's the same thing. We have to think about not being in. You have to put yourself in your shoes and not think like I'm like them. I have to keep my emotions on apart. I don't know. Yeah.
Before we continue.
Yes, eu e a Vitória temos mais ou menos a mesma história. A minha começou há muitos anos atrás. Eu estou no meu... I'm sorry, I'm speaking Portuguese. So sorry. So sorry.
And I was translating like, I didn't even pay attention. It was okay.
Could anybody translate for me, please? So, my story today is gratitude. I am almost 70 years old, and when I was a teenager, my parents decided that I had to study English, and I was Casa Thomas Jefferson students at Avenida W3 510, if I'm not wrong, and then from there moved it to Setor Comercial Sul, and then we started here in. So being an ex-student and now being part of this huge family, this huge house, is really a feeling of gratitude. And Vitória, you see the age now is coming. So Vitória has almost the same story as I do.
So I was talking to Marta, and we didn't know each other before this moment, and we have a similar story. I'm a little bit younger, but today I am a teacher where I used to be a student. And today the people that used to be my teachers are now my colleagues. So it's also a feeling of gratitude. And being here in during my vacation, because in Rio Grande do Sul we are on vacation, and being here today and taking this time to learn a little bit more, because we talked in the morning that teachers are always going to be teachers and learners are always going to be learners. I think it's also a feeling of gratitude to come here and taking some time to learn a little bit more. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, two things real quick. First, when Clarice presented about the polyvagal theory, it really reminded me of Stephen Krushin's affective filter. So, and I mean, I'm a nerd, so I love studying. Yes, all of us. My bad. All of us are. But it triggered me in the sense of, okay, we're here to think about the students, to put on our polyvagal glasses, right? But we should also do that for ourselves.
Sure.
You know? So we should be able to look at our partners and put on our polyvagal glasses and take care of each other. And having said that, it brings me to the second thing I would like to say is, for most of my life I've been a teacher, an English teacher. I know it doesn't look like, but I've been an English teacher for 15 years already. I was a baby when I started. So the thing is, for most of my life I taught in language courses. And that's when you see everybody's an English teacher where you work. And now that I'm teaching at a regular school, right? I'm the only English teacher there. And teaching is a lonely job. But English teaching is an even more lonely job. And when you don't have much to share, you have like general experience to share with your workmates, but not specific ones. So having this sense of community, we have somebody to reach out for, in our case in Goiânia, right? It used to be Raquel. But that we can reach out for somebody when we need. That's amazing. Yes.
Thank you. And that's true, people. That's the sense what we try to build, the sense of community and being able to deliver the events today. I didn't want to be anything like too theoretical here at the end, because you have been here since the whole morning. It's going to be a light session, but I have a very provocative question. Have you been teaching for 22, 10, 5, and then you put your number here. Mine would be 22. The age of some of you, yes. That's it. I've been teaching for 22 years. Have you been teaching for 10 years? Or have you repeated the same year 20 times? Thinking about all that, I'm not going to make you write, okay? Today is a light. If you want to write, you can use the book to write. If you just want to think, you can just think, because then you're going to share with the person next to you. Think about your timeline, okay, regarding teaching. What have you done? Where have you started? And what has changed? I can share a bit of my experience here. I've been teaching for 22 years, 13 at Thomas. My first degree is history. But in 2016, they had a partnership here with a high school program, and they called me. Você tem graduação em História, não tem? Tenho. Quer dar aula de História dos Estados Unidos? Why not? And then I had to study like a lot, let's put it that way, to deliver the course. But since then, I've been even now the national trainer of U.S. history. So it was a completely different experience from teaching English, used to the regular books, to teach the whole subject in English. That's a big change in my career. And then we had bilingual adventure here, no books, using the IPC course. And then Thomas Bilíngue for schools, with the reality of regular schools are completely different from language institutes. So that's my timeline and changes, in my perspective, things that really changed the way I teach. So try to think about your timeline And those highlight moments that you had to change. It might be simple. I had to change the course book. I used to teach with one book, now I teach with a different one. Can be something simple as that, or something deeper. When I went to a conference and then I heard someone and then I started studying mind-brain education, political, and then that's it, crashing. So think, 2 minutes to think, and then I'm gonna share, okay? Think about your timeline. For some people, it's easy because you have just started. For some people, lots of difference. Yes? Grand translation, communicative approach. No, now Portuguese is forbidden. No, now you can use Portuguese. Translanguage is a possibility. No, it's not. Grammar is not important. Yes, it is. Right? Eating eggs. Like, are eggs good for our health or not, right? Okay, so now time for you to share with people around you. Focus on the shifts. What has changed in your career since you have started? Okay, so please. Talk to someone, you'll find someone to talk. Can be pairs, groups. The guy that was this, have you talked with rods? I said, no. I said, yes, but I know what it is. Because he used to rods. Yes. We've seen that. I've never like believed. Yeah. But I had some work with stress, of word stress, and dentist instead I have worked with the rods. Okay, let's go back. Because teachers, if you don't stop teachers talking, we are gonna like go to another topic, to another topic, to another topic, and then it's never over. Okay? Can I have you back? Do you want to bike thing? People. The bike was there in the corner. Have you tried? Okay. Have you seen it? We put there. What happens to the bike? Yeah. 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 How can I done? Yeah. When you turn it from one side, the wheel goes also to the other side. Is that simple? Okay, think about the reflections about that, okay? I'm gonna show a video here, 7 minutes video from a guy that explains that. We here at Thomas, we used this bike in 2019 to work the whole week when we started a bit more working with project-based learning. So PBL, and then here we had the whole in-service at Thomas to work with this bike, and then had people delivering sessions. So I brought it, and we're gonna watch a video. It's linked with the questions, and we have like, after the video, have more reflections. So pay attention to the video. Thank you, Raquel. Cadê o Glaucio, volume? Ali, faltou o volume do... Was work? We test. If you don't have the audio, you're going to play because the subtitles are there. We are fast readers, right? So if he gets it, then you go. But with the subtitles, you can understand.
Pulling and pushing the handlebars, gyroscopic precession in the wheels, every single force is part of this algorithm. And if you change any one part, it affects the entire control system. I do not make definitive statements that often, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot ride this bicycle. You might think you can, but you can't. I know this because I'm often asked to speak at universities and conferences, and I take the bike with me. It's always the same. People think they're going to try some trick or they're just going to power through it. It doesn't work. Your brain cannot handle this. For instance, this guy, I offered him $200 just to ride this bike 10 feet across the stage. Everybody thought he could do it.
No, you didn't understand. You didn't understand. So, this way. Now, okay, all right, a second. All right, so, whenever you're ready, yeah. Go ahead. No, you have to keep your feet on. Dude, all right, here we go. Wait. Like, you gotta start rolling at least. Okay, go. And go. Oh, go! All right, back up. Okay, keep your feet on the pedal. Go. Go right on. Just keep your feet on the pedals. Hands on. Yeah, come on. All right, one more time. Okay.
Once you have a rigid way of thinking in your head, sometimes you cannot change that, even if you want to. So here's what I did. It was a personal challenge. I stayed out here in this driveway and I practiced about 5 minutes every day. My neighbors made fun of me. I had many wrecks, but after 8 months, this happened. One day I couldn't ride the bike and the next day I could. It was like I could feel some kind of pathway in my brain that was now unlocked. It was really weird though. It's like there's this trail in my brain, but if I wasn't paying close enough attention to it, my brain would easily lose that neural path and jump back onto the old road it was more familiar with. Any small distractions at all, like a cell phone ringing in my pocket, would instantly throw my brain back to the old control algorithm and I would wreck. But at least I could ride it. My son is the closest person to me genetically, and he's been riding a normal bike for 3 years. That's over half his life. I wanted to know how long it would take him to learn how to ride a backwards bike, so I told him if he learned how to ride a backwards bike, he could go with me to Australia and meet a real astronaut.
Are you gonna give up? No. Go ahead. This is how it starts. Look at this. This is such a big deal. Get up, you got it. Did you see his brain get it? So in how many weeks have we been doing this? 2 weeks? In 2 weeks, he did something that took me 8 months to do, which demonstrates that a child has more neuroplasticity, am I even saying that right, than an adult.
It's clear from this experiment that children have a much more plastic brain than adults. That's why the best time to learn a language is when you're a young child.
All right, today's bike log. I can ride smooth, I can ride fast. I'm thinking the experiment is over.
Okay, now I'm in Amsterdam, a city that has more bicycles than people. The question is, can I ride a normal bike now? I mean, I've spent all this time unlearning how to ride a bike. If I go back and try to ride a normal one, will my brain mess up? So I've tweeted a Smarter Everyday meetup, if you will, and I'm gonna see if somebody brings a bicycle and I'm gonna try to ride a normal bike. It's backwards, it's backwards.
This was one of the most frustrating moments of my life. I had ridden a normal bike since I was 6, but in this moment, I couldn't do it anymore. I had set out to prove that I could free my brain from a cognitive bias. But at this point, I'm pretty sure that all I proved is that I could only redesignate that bias.
So what you're not seeing is just a group of people here looking at me, looking at the strange American that can't ride a bike because they think I'm dumb. But I'm actually 2 levels deep into this because I've learned and unlearned. All right.
After 20 minutes of making a fool out of myself, suddenly my brain clicked back into the old algorithm. I can't explain it, but it happened in a very specific moment.
I got it. I'm back. Oh, it clicked. Hold it, it clicked. I got it. Okay, there it is. There was the moment. Okay, I can ride a bike.
I tried to explain this to the people around me, and they just didn't get it. They thought I was faking the previous 20 minutes, and I couldn't get anybody to believe me.
That looked like I faked that, didn't it?
Yeah. Just a face.
You think I'm faking. You don't believe me.
That looks so weird to like, and it's full.
You think I'm lying, don't you? I'm not lying.
I felt like the only person on the planet who had ever unlearned how to ride a bike, and I couldn't articulate it to anyone because everybody just knew that you can't forget how to ride a bike. So I learned 3 things from this experiment. I learned that welders are often smarter than engineers. I learned that knowledge does not equal understanding. And I learned that truth is truth, no matter what I think about it. So be very careful how you interpret things, because you're looking at the world with a bias, whether you think you are or not. I'm Destin. You're getting smarter every day. Have a good one.
Okay, if you want to support Smarter Every Day, you can download a free audiobook at audible.com/smarter. I recommend.
I've watched those movies like many times, and every time I watch, there's a new reflection, okay? So before going on me, see, I don't like lecturing. So time for you to share what you got from the video, okay? We're coming to the end, you're sharing with your friends, that's why I didn't mix you around. So share a bit more about what you got from the video, what ideas you get from that, what's your take on it, okay? And then I come back in 2 minutes, I call you back. Okay? So let's go back. So people, I'm sharing now some of my ideas, but feel free to raise your hands and want to interact. I'm gonna force anyone out because I know that everyone is tired, right? So what I see, the first point is this slide, I believe, theory and practice. That's why it's so important to listen to our students. It's important for our coordinators to listen to our teachers. The principals to listen to the coordinators. And we also to listen to school. Because what is prepared when you open a lesson plan in the platform, that's theory. You have to put it in practice. And lots of ideas, sometimes you're not even going to understand because it comes from a mind of someone that got it. But when we read it, what is it? So that's part of it. All the thing from the video, it takes time. And when we do understand that, we help our community understand. Because parents, 2 months, 7 years old, por que não está falando fluente até agora? Right? Because that's not it. Mas não foi assim que eu aprendi. E você fala inglês? Não. Ou seja, so different pathways, different ways, but we need to revisit our practice every day and every lesson because we need to go on the cycle. That's why we had the first questions. Have you been repeating the year or have you really been teaching for that time? Comparisons. 8 months, 2 weeks. So the kids, they can do it, right? But to go back, he couldn't go back. But then in 20 minutes, he went back. So revisiting what we already know helps us. So that's why we need to remember that our students, they are not blank pages. They come to the room with a lot of things in their bags, a lot. And that's not only in English. We have been talking the whole day here beyond content. I guess that the video also shows that you turn right, it goes left. You turn left, it goes right. Simple. But that's not that simple. It's beyond. There are many things more related to that. So our kids, they come to the room with things. Use that. Bridge it. Activate prior knowledge. Use translanguaging. That's even I believe the moment that Portuguese can help you. What are they studying with the other teachers? What your students are studying, and use it. What they like, what they don't like, what's there, like in their reality. This is going to help them understand the content. Bridges that happens. Our brain works on that. You start speaking Portuguese. I didn't get it. For me, it was no, because we translanguage. We not code switching, as we use it in different ways. It happens. It's natural. So do that. That's why revisiting was much faster for him than before. And the brain is lazy. The brain wants the shortcuts. So we played here grammar translation, Portuguese, not Portuguese. It's possible to use Portuguese in class, but as an effective language, not as classroom language. Use Portuguese to connect with your students, not to give commands. Different things. Okay, so we could go on and on and on with the theory and practice here, but let's continue. And then I brought this to the reflection. It's another thing to show when you think about cycles. When you think about Bantu is the people that came from Africa, in the middle of Africa, like from Angola to Mozambique in the north of South Africa. The main enslaved people that came to Brazil were Bantu, most of them, especially up to the end of the 19th century. There is a huge influence in our Brazilian culture and also in our Portuguese, okay? Even the way we pronounce is related to this inheritance that you have from Bantu. As you know, I'm a historian, so I love studying history. And I'm talking about people, not religion, okay? Talk about people that shared a similar language, okay? É mesmo tronco linguístico, not the same people. And what they have, what's called Jikenga, is this cycle that goes like to the left. And it's the belief that we live many Jikenga cycles in our day, in our life. The sun rises, gets to midday, goes down, it's night. The cycle of the moon. The cycle of the seasons. The season starts, gets to the peak, and then it goes back. Everything in life is a cycle that goes and goes. We are living at the same time. Our cycles in our lesson plan. Our kids, they have the cycle of educação infantil, the cycle of anos iniciais, anos finais. Every class is a cycle. So there are those many cycles in our day, in our life, and we need to pay attention to let the stages flow. If we get too stuck to something, and then you go back to the video of unlearning to learn. If you don't let things go, we might be stuck in one of the stages of that cycle, and then the flow is not going to be okay. Lesson plan, beginning, middle, and closing. Mas não deu tempo de terminar o exercício, eu coleto rapidinho, na próxima aula começa daqui. You broke the flow. You need to get, so we start again. It's not beginning, middle, and end, because there is no end, because the end is the beginning of the next cycle. That's why it's a circle, it's not a line, because your class finishes. But the end of a class today is the beginning of your class, of your next class. The end of your day today is the beginning of your day tomorrow. So everything that we have studied about the use of Portuguese, exercise, translanguaging, everything, you can use it. The methods, the methodology, approaches. There is no right or wrong. We have our path, our life, our history in teaching, and you need to respect that. So there is a guidance to be followed, but our cycles are part of it. So I believe now I have to use drilling. Yes, but how are you going to do that? I'm not going to make a list of sentences, repeat those verbs, and repeat. That's not the way we do, but we do drilling. We do make them repeat. We do exercises, but you don't send them a list of verbs. Now you write the whole list of verbs on the left, and then on the right, and you do that 50 times. We don't do that anymore, but we still do exercises. So our practices, they reinvent themselves. Here, if you want, if you're curious about the cycles and what happens, and then it's just an explanation on what you begin. So the yellow one here is like where you started, the point of conception, and then it's born in Kala, and then gets to the peak. What's the word? And then we go back here, finish, and then we start into a next one, okay? In transition into death, but it's not it. So we go to something deep, and then what I play, we have to let it go. We have to play Frozen. We have to let things go. And some of our beliefs, some of things that happen in class, taking care of the polyvagal phases. We need to pay attention, we need to let things go. If we are stuck to it, to the problem, the things are not going to happen. So we're going to be stuck in one of the cycles. So don't forget to play the frozen and let it go. Let the flow. It's not like not paying attention, but it's, I'm not going to sing. Don't worry. That's not going to happen. Okay? So don't forget to play frozen. Knowledge is built together. If you expect someone to be in the front delivering our cake recipe to deliver our lessons, we are thinking on that. We're thinking that we are going to come to our students, deliver a lesson, and they are going to learn. But that's not going to happen. Teaching doesn't guarantee learning because it's built together. And in a regular class, I know 30 students. Am I going to ask them to stand up, talk to each other? But you have to develop your classroom management techniques so you are able to open that, and they are going to understand that they need to get back. But that's the energy. You let the energy flow as a class, and then you come back. Flow and come back. If the energy is just high, that's not a good class. If it's too low, it's too low. We need a balance. The brain needs that. So group work, pair work, what we've seen, observing around, which is a challenge, is to deliver student-centered lessons. And like I said, I like the stage, okay? I like here. I like being here. We like being in front of our class and to be on the stage. And sometimes we want to control every single part of our class. And that's impossible. Embrace chaos. Organized chaos. But use the space. Language classroom must be communicative. A language lesson must be noisy, but not noisy for 50 minutes. And learn how to play that game and work on that, but don't forget that. If you're just there, presenting, showing, speaking, learning is not happening. That's why, even now, 5 o'clock, I ask you to talk to each other, to share. Because it's in this small talk, the sense of community that we build together and we learn that we can count on each other. Sometimes just because the person is feeling and suffering the same thing as we are, right? That's just it, right? Like we had the other day, it's just sharing. Yes, that's it. What's the solution? I don't know. Let's go on, okay? Last exercise for today before we go to a happy hour with beer, pizza, and wine, okay? So that's what you see. I didn't say that before the resolution just because, but I was just trying to give the energy. So we share, okay? So let's think. We're going to do everything. So think, and then when you have a right thought, you can share with the person in front of, next to you, around you. But think about your second semester resolutions. Not only after today, but after the things we shared today, the moments you had today. 3 minutes for you to think what you want to do in this semester. It can be something different or continue something that you have already started. But think on that. When you have time, share, and then I call you back. That's the last exercise today. My next slide is thank you. Okay, so, so it's time to share. So 2 minutes, 2 to 3. Okay? I want to hear, let's. Back to the. Thank you. See, a different technique. Okay, I want to hear from you some share, not too much, but at least two people sharing. You raise your hand. No, but I'm taking it. What's your resolution? Okay. Who wants to share here something from the second semester? Okay.
Hi. I was telling them that this semester I don't want to take things too personally. Like I had a hard semester, and sometimes a student misbehaves or they talk to me in a certain way and I take it too personally. Like it's my fault they're acting this way. Or I have to change the way I teach because this student is not acting the way I expect. And I think I have to take things less personally, like it's not necessarily my fault, and I'm trying my best, I guess. And that's it. Open mic. Here.
Well, this semester I think I'm thinking on giving meaning for those things that are meaningless to them. So those things that we overlook, or even overlook, show them a different perspective, knowing, especially knowing that from today that language has different perspectives. And it's not about being in an American culture or a British culture or any other culture, it's a global culture. So showing them another way to approach language and give them that meaning, even though they said that maybe may become obsolete because of AI and all those things. I don't believe so, because there's a difference in between being able to use something from nothing and depending on something to use it. So what happens when you have no internet? Of course, situations, but that's all.
Okay, my resolution is to be calm and regulated, basically, because I think now I see how important it is for my students that I am regulated, that I'm not anxious, so they can mirror me, mirror my behavior, and be quiet too, and be focused too, and this is very important, right, for the class. That's it, basically.
We were sharing and we had different goals for the second semester. But I was saying that my resolution is to try not to let the second semester swallow me. So that's basically it. We were talking that in the beginning until the middle of the semester, we can like follow our lesson plans and like we can keep focus on what we want to do. But in the end of the semester, the second semester, like mostly, we kind of stop what we need to do. For example, the organized chaos. In the beginning and the middle of the semester, it works. But in the end, we're like, bora, gurizada, nós temos que dar conta do conteúdo. But that's the goal. Try to like keep the same like focus, keep the same focus until the end of the semester, and like being able to continue that organized chaos too.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, so I told you the next one was thank you, yes? I was not lying. So we're going to continue, but thank you very much. People, Some of you know more, yes. This is a space, not only TB Academy Day, but Thomas Bilíngue for Schools do believe that sharing is caring. And we are in open spaces, an open space to presentations. Today we had and I wanted to be, I'm thankful for the teachers that sent presentations from our partners. So we had people from Ceará, from Rio Grande do Sul, from Brasília, from Goiás presenting. So that's Brazil, and it's a chance. I started 2012, it's a long time ago. Yes, right? So I'm going to share here. 2012, I went to a Brastiço conference in Rio de Janeiro, and it changed my teaching life. And I'm going to invite Gustavo here just to make an invitation to you all that's beyond Thomas Bilíngue for Schools, but also Brastiço, an association of conference. We were together last week in Vitória, so I presented in the Bilingual Morning, and Gustavo is the president of the Center West chapter. So please.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to talk a little bit about Brastiço. Some people here have been members, are kind of members, you know. But the idea of the Brastiço Association is what we did here today, right? Is to share what we know. Dudu started like this. I started like this, presenting at the time it was the Brasilia chapter. So we started presenting in small places, not small places, but locally, right? You go from local to global, like Gladys said, glocal, right? So Brastiço is a huge association. It's all over Brazil. And you also have the local chapters. We have the Rio Grande do Sul chapter, you have the Paraná, Santa Catarina, São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Center West, and now they have restarted the North chapter, which will cater for the North and the Northeast, right? So if you're interested in joining us and having this type of sessions with other teachers from other institutions as well, as you have been doing here, you can join, you can take a look at our site, it's brastiço.org.br, and I put the Center West email there if you are interested. You can also send emails, the email to me, and if you are from another region, I can redirect you to Rio Grande do Sul, Paraná, North, and Northeast, okay? As we say in Brastiço, the more we are, the stronger we become. And it's a chance for you, for like-minded people, to share experiences. And that's the main idea of this, right? So join us. Thank you very much.
Please, the feedback for the afternoon is very important that you deliver feedback on the sessions you observed, watched, and also here. But not the least, and I'm going to switch to Portuguese, ok? Isso aqui é um sonho que está acontecendo, juntando esse tanto de professor, conseguir trazer gente de fora, quase 50 pessoas de fora de Brasília, para estar aqui. Ele é sonhado, ele é acontecido, ele é uma caminhada longa. E não só eu, como muita gente, passou pela mão de uma pessoa muito especial aqui, e que, se não fosse ela, eu não estaria aqui, porque foi minha inspiração do início ao fim da carreira dela e continua sendo a minha, porque dar aula é muito além de saber inglês. Eu sempre brinquei que eu aprendi com ela a pedagogia do amor. Então, num evento como esse, eu não podia deixar de chamar Maria Cecília Reyes. Thank you.
So many pendant. Thank you very much. I am just grateful. Thank you. Because he always makes me cry. I don't like it. Love you.
Let's go on. We have some gifts, simple gifts, okay? But we have backpacks with some books inside, and we are gonna raffle it. And when we leave here, people, it's gonna be in the same place of the coffee break. Don't forget to leave your message there and get people from Rio Grande do Sul. Don't worry, Brasília, o aeroporto é perto. Você saiu daqui 6h30, você está às 6h40 no aeroporto, ok? It's very close, it's different. And it's Brasília on Saturday. Então, se a gente tem tempo, 10 minutos a gente está no aeroporto, tá? De férias, ok? So, eu vou passar, a Raquel é a host desses nossos eventos, assim, de raffle.
You love to see me make a fool of myself. Are you ready to rumble? Go, Tati, spin the wheel. 5 backpacks. All of your names. Spin that wheel. Maria Cristiane. She's here? Yay! Come, come, come. Pose for pictures. Spin that wheel. Lorena Oliveira Neves. Uhul! É marmelada. It's marmalade. That's a lucky roll. One more. 3 more. Gabriele. Ah, she left. I'm so sorry, Gabriele. Your loss. César. No last name? Caesar. The Caesar. Madonna. And Caesar is not here. Caesar has left the building. Next one. Mariana Ferreira. You know, I'm just going to throw the backpacks here. You can come and fight for them. Great idea. André Xavier Mesquita. Yay! Still present. He was also a presenter. Two more backpacks. Oh yeah, it's not empty. There's things in the backpack. Andressa. Yay! Congrats, Andressa. And the last one.
Andréia! Uhul!
Cadê o pessoal da foto? Well, let's take a photo of everyone. Tá todo mundo aqui? Aí vem de lá. People, let's join the stage here so we take like a group picture. Bota lá no outro. Tá. Fez acontecer.